Man, oh man, oh man. Let's go. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my fiery and courageous panel, Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf.
Ow!
Oh, that wolf is full of energy tonight. We got Willie A. Price speaks absolutely nothing but the truth.
That's right. You can call me Willie D tonight.
Willie D. I don't know where the ladies at. I'm still gonna shout their names out. They probably putting away barbecue, putting it in Tupperware. I don't know, putting pots and pans away. I have no idea. But Pristine comes correct all the time. Brooks, the lovable Lakia Perry, Anetta Life Coach Williams, and the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy Andrews. Man, this past Monday was something special. The emotions were running high as we discussed the topic. Have black men and black women reached the point of no return? If the broadcast on Monday was any indication, yes, it's done. Stick a fork in it. Too much to overcome. Too much has been done. But tonight, here in the Counselor's Corner, we will discuss the topic, are her standards too high? So what? I don't have a passport. And that's just basically dealing with, some of the standards that I guess high value women are looking for. And they are looking for men that have passports, men that have traveled, men that are well seasoned, you know, dealt with other cultures, been places. So we're going to talk about that. But now let's discuss the other three talking points. Oh, y'all thought we was going to get out of this because we didn't cover it last week. Summertime is coming. Are you ready? Are you ready? I mean,
Right.
I know some of you say we don't have no choice, but you have a choice in what you decide to wear and how you look in it and what your body is made for and all those types of things. And this is no shot at women. The same thing for men. So
Oh, I got
don't even take it personal if y'all already start cringing and all that stuff on your couch, whatever. It's for both parties. So that's number two. Number three, has the old concept respect and protect the black women or any woman in that case turned into simping?
Mm.
So,
Mm.
basically, if
what you trying to say, man?
I said
saying,
none.
I'm just
I
saying,
said nothing, man. I ain't got no weapon.
if you're cordial and going out the way to court this woman or try to get her interest, um, and I guess if she's receptive to it, that's a good thing. But if she's not, then will this generation or of people say you're simping? That's as simple as that. I know that word been around, but it just kind of resurfaced again. So what's going on, Doug? Thanks for joining us. So we're going to talk about that. Talking point three. Number four, this was a layover from last week too. Is your sensors triggered from past relationships? Then don't date. We talk about that often. Like you're not ready to jump into dating if you're still miserable or upset, and then you're with the new person and you're dogging out the last person. Nobody got time to hear all that
Bringing
shit.
all that
Nobody
drama.
wants
Exactly.
to deal with that. So understand that, and if you're still in that place, you may need to fall back. I know sometimes it's hard for people, maybe especially, I'm going to throw a shot at women, especially women, because with all the different holidays and things that go on, and you guys like to have a man around. Yeah, I'm fishing right now because I know that's going to get y'all going because I don't need no man. I don't know what the hell he talking about. But it seems like every holiday and stuff like that is geared towards y'all. And even the ones that we do have, like Father's Day, y'all about to take
They
this
took
shit
that.
too. So,
Thank
so,
you.
so in those cases, you may have a man around, but you may not be ready to move forward with that person. So that's that. So The usual. Please like and share the video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Getting closer to the 500 subs. Think we're 50 short right now. Need you to hit that subscription button if you haven't subscribed. And here we are. Let's have at it. How y'all doing, fellas?
Thursday out no more.
I'm about to send Herb some tissue. You don't stop all that sniffling over there.
The heat, man. Once the seasons change, man, congestion starts to mess with me until it actually settles out.
Whoa.
So I just have to weather the storm.
Before y'all get going, I do want to. Something was brought up earlier. I sent like Happy Memorial's Day. That's what we always said. And somebody, I ain't gonna even say her name, hit me up, inbox me like, be mindful of saying that, whatever, because it's not a happy occasion. So I kind of responded back like, hey, wait a minute. Like if somebody's honoring the death of someone, whether they served in the army or just people who died, period, you may say, I want to observe this day for. Many of us is taught to celebrate life. Think about the good memories they had and they brought to you. Because if you're not doing that, what's the hell of the point of celebrating it? If you're you mean to tell me we have dates that, okay, this is a day that you sit around and be sad or upset? So to me, it should be a celebration of life. So all that nonsense, and I've seen it on a couple different places that this same theme was saying. So all that shit y'all talking about, that trash it. I mean, we gonna celebrate life, and that's what it's about.
And I've seen that too. I've seen people do that too, talking about you shouldn't put happy in front of it. It should be have a nice Memorial Day celebration. Trying to dictate to people how they recognize the day or how they describe the day or how they accept the day. Like you said, having it as a happy day, happy. You're not happy the person has passed away, but it's a recognition of those who have passed away. You saw I did a video on that the other day also. Yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Good.
Talking about the origination of where Memorial Day came from, where it actually originated from. And it had nothing to do with the Civil War and not the Civil War, but the World War II and the Vietnam War and all that stuff, which is what a lot of people you saw trying to designate that as the reason for the day, but that was actually not how that day came about. And I mean, you still celebrate, you still recognize those people who have passed based on, being in a war, but still the way they did it, I just brought that information out and people can take it, for what they want to take it for.
It's a delicate dance, because when you start to look at Memorial Day versus Veterans Day, and I think for those who don't know, they're really polar opposites. And for people who've seen combat, and they come back, that's where the division starts, because as the saying goes, they'll tell you that the lucky ones died during combat. So you start to look at PTSD and all the other things that combat veterans have to live with. So
Veterans Day or Memorial Day you're talking about?
For Memorial Day, because a lot of veterans they'll tell you, I'm telling you to a man or to a person, a lot of veterans have that survivor's guilt, and that's one of the reasons why you'll get messages like that from people who've actually seen combat and served, because they have to carry on with their comrades in arms don't have that ability, so they're always carrying that with them. That's why for some of it's more of a somber occasion, because while we celebrate life, they're acknowledging the death, and that's hard.
That's for them to celebrate. That's not for them to dictate how anybody else should recognize the day.
I'm not suggesting anything opposite. What I'm simply saying is you have to put yourself in their shoes, and if you can't,
no, I don't.
no,
No, I don't.
and I know, I understand that, and that's what I'm saying. That's where the delicate dance comes in. That's why I'm always careful as a non-person, as a civilian, and non-military man to tread lightly. Usually, when I celebrate Memorial
Put
Day,
yourself in their shoes, anyways, because again, like you just said, you're not a military person, so you can't relate to anything that they've gone through. For them, I mean, for them, it may not be a happy Memorial Day, but for us, some people say Happy Memorial Day. Some people say, just enjoy your Memorial Day celebration, or however you want to put it together. But the thing is, nobody should be able to dictate how you describe or how you term anything, unless it's something that, unless it's something that's copywritten and you're using it for some purpose. But to say, you should be careful about saying happy Memorial Day because you could offend somebody. You say Merry Christmas, you offend some people nowadays.
No, so I understand that, but that's my point.
Not that, so they put an X. They put an X in front of Christmas, or Mary. No, they put an X in front of after Mary, and all this kind of stuff, removing Christ from Christmas, and you have people, up in arms about that. So I mean, if we were going around changing everything, nothing would ever get accomplished.
It sounds like they make up shit as we go along, so that's
they
what
do.
I do.
And they do.
I dance to the beat of my own drum. So if I want to celebrate,
you can't even. They took Pepe Le Pew off the air because he all of a sudden now he a pedophile. I know he's a rapist, or what was he? Some accusation because he was always going after the women or the female cat. So now all of a sudden he's promoting. Was it rape? Some not. I mean,
I read the mess, man. It was so silly. I didn't even acknowledge. I said,
Dr. Seuss, whatever. Dr. Seuss. I mean, nowadays everything but those things were done years ago, and they knew what they were doing, and people celebrated it. They recognized it. They read the stories. They watched the cartoons. They did all those things. And now all of a sudden, years later, look at Aunt Jemima. Now Aunt Jemima, they done took her off. Uncle Ben, they done took him off the box. And the families are upset though.
And rightfully they should, because now they're missing out on revenue.
Right. Well,
very few people understood that.
They're recognizing their legacy of the family, of the contribution. So now all of a sudden you want to complain, oh, that's racist. You got that black woman, call her Aunt Jemima on the box that's been for 100 some odd years or whatever amount of years, and so now the family's all upset about it. But you've got these people who come up with these little issues and they make a complaint about it, and everything changes, and it's really getting ridiculous, the stuff they do nowadays.
All right, we got a couple more people and want to get them.
I don't know how we got on that subject.
No, I started it because I had got an inbox about me saying Happy Memorial Day, but it didn't faze me one way or the other. I still was gonna say it.
Thank you. That's what I said.
Hey, Lakia, how you doing?
Hey, Dave. Hi, everyone. Hi, guys.
What is going on?
I'm over here looking like my skin is black. I got a tan.
Oh, I was gonna say, what color was your skin before?
Brown.
Blacker than the ace of spade over there.
Brown last time. Now I'm black. So it was fun. I just got back from Miami, had a ball, relaxed.
Oh.
Got a tan. One day without an umbrella. One day. Because we couldn't find anybody with an umbrella. And I get this tan.
I shot a pack.
That's how bright the sun is down there. It was beautiful. So how's everyone
down there?
Memorial Day? I had about 9-10 kids at my house at one time, which I loved, because I'm just glad to be home and be with my family and be, it was like when I'm away, I just don't like to be too far away, because you never know with the way things are so crazy in this world. So finally getting back home, just glad I can be there and cook dinner for my family.
Yeah,
good. Dr. Goodwin.
I actually just met my sister Friday for the first time.
Oh wow.
I have a sister that lives in Ohio, and I had met her about a year ago on Facebook. We met each other on Facebook, but I had never actually met in person. And so we corresponded back and forth. And so when this holiday came up, I was trying to go to Vegas and I was trying to go to different places, and I just couldn't find decent airfare. And I decided to go to Ohio and told her I was coming, and we ended up meeting on Friday, and we ended up hanging the whole weekend. She was like, okay, tomorrow we got this. The next day we got this. I was at wedding receptions. I was at clubs. Man, she had me all over the place. Church introduced me to all her family and friends and church members, and we went to a church members cookout. When I say it was really a great weekend meeting her and her family, and then just doing the things with her. We hung out last night. Well, I didn't get home to 1:30 this morning, hanging out with her. That was my last night, and we went to this restaurant lounge that she goes to quite often, and so that's where we actually met on Friday night. And she introduced me to the owner of the restaurant lounge, and he and I hit it off, and then one of the barmaids hit it off, and we were there every night and just drinking and partying. He had me in his VIP section last night because he knew I was leaving today. So he invited me into his VIP section. We sat over there, and he introduced me to all his friends. And I mean, it was a great time. I just had a good time. So I didn't get back here. When I got back here, I'm exhausted. Today, I'm in this 5-day training, and I forgot all about it till they sent me an email about an hour before the class started talking about, don't forget to be there. So I got off of that and came straight to this. So, but it was a great weekend. It was a blessed weekend. I got a chance to meet her, and I'll be going back down to spend some time with her and her family and do things. So they've invited me to a lot of different events and family events. So it was really cool.
Good. Anwar, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Can you hear me?
Man.
Yeah, we hear you. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just another holiday weekend. Stay down here in the DMV.
Okay.
Was thinking about going to Buffalo, but I'll probably go next month.
All right.
It's definitely going to be warmer. No question about that.
Or snow. You never know.
We just know. I know something.
Let me know when you come up.
Okay. Hey, David, I'm gonna leave and come back. It sounds kind of low. I think you guys can hear me, but my sounds kind of low. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna jump into the subject matter
Yes, sir.
about the standards being too high in this passport thing. And I know some people, when you mention maybe your standards too high to certain people, they like, oh no, I'm never gonna lower my standards and all that stuff. And I don't know if it's about lowering them, but sometimes if you're still in the same boat that you were last year and the year before, you might have to revisit your standards or do tweak them or do something if they're not working for you. And that's just,
But some people just like to complain. Some people just like to complain anyways. And the thing is, if you look at it, those people, like I said, below my standards, you've had the opportunity. This person's had the opportunity to travel, do whatever they've done, and now they want to hold that lifestyle over somebody else's head who may not have had those same opportunities. So now all of a sudden they're beneath you, or they don't, their standards aren't high enough, or they're not meeting their standards. But it depends on where people are in their life. What experiences they've had. Like I said, a lot of people don't have a passport, which I think, unless you travel, you wouldn't have one. And some people don't travel, or they never thought of leaving the country. So, they may travel, down south or different places in the States where you don't need a passport. So now you meet a woman that has traveled out of the country, and she's holding that as some kind of requirement in order for you to be with them. They have to have a passport. That ain't whatever.
Anybody else?
It is what it is.
It's going to depend on a couple different things. One, is that individual, just like you said, Willie, is that individual willing to move around to meet the individual that can meet their requirements? And most people aren't, because they don't want to. They don't want to switch professions, they don't want to uproot their family, they don't want to take a pay cut, or any number of those particular reasons. And then some people just don't, like you said, don't have a global perspective. So if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have a global perspective, they could care less about traveling abroad. They could care less about all of the different languages and cultures that the world has to offer. You're never going to find anybody in that same watering hole, so to speak, that you're looking for. So at that point, it's not even your standards that are the issue. It's the mindset. And people aren't willing to change their mindset. They're not willing to take somebody and say, hey, look, this is what I would like to do with you. But I see in order for me to get you to that level, I'm going to have to bring you along. Now, I don't know if women are more apprehensive in doing that because they see, well, he's not making the money that I am, so I'm going to have to foot the bill wherever we go. And it kind of inverts the male-female dynamic in terms of leadership and who's following who. And if you have a woman that wants to be catered to, she wants to be taken care of, but all of a sudden she finds herself in that lead role, then she's going to at some point be displeased. So you're dealing with a lot of different dynamics within that particular relationship, especially if there's not going to go anywhere fruitful.
Ladies,
Hey,
anybody else?
David, can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say a few words. I can't hang with y'all all night. Y'all be hanging all night long. But I just wanted to say that David uploaded a snippet of the show from 2 weeks ago. And I thought that it was a powerful snippet because it really, Herb, you were involved in that. Lakia was involved in that. I think that's Annetta Driving. She was involved in that. But I think it really captured the idea that of what international travel is, what that represents. Traveling nationally, going to Las Vegas, going to Toronto if you live in Western New York, that's not considered traveling, quote unquote, in certain circles. Going to Mexico, well, I guess it depends on which part of Mexico you go to, but it's it's our next neighboring country south. So for some people, that's not considered traveling. And so I thought the significance of that discussion, the back and forth between Herb and Lakia and Annetta, I'm not trying to instigate anything here.
Yeah, no.
That
it's very poignant.
That there's a there there. There's a there there. And there was a point at which prior to the pandemic, I was meeting ladies, and that was one of the first questions they asked was, do you have a passport? Do you travel? And they say, well, I travel. I go overseas. So it was like a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
And the passport was used as a bit of an exclusion criteria.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think the cool thing is that in the counselor's corner, underneath that post, you could see it was a nice snapshot of how people feel about that. There were some ladies who were like, well, if you don't travel, if you don't have those stamps on his passport, I can't mess with them. And then you have some folks who are like, he hasn't done that yet. Is he open to doing it? Is he open to trying it? A lot of times it's talked about in a condescending way. If you're particularly that guy, because I don't know that men, I'm trying to be fair here. I don't know that men meet ladies and say, well, you don't have a passport, we can't talk.
No.
I mean, I'm a man, so I've experienced the converse. I think that's the right word. So I just want to say that there's a there that's a real thing. And it's used as a bit of an exclusion criteria today.
And I agree with what you said about, some of them will meet a person and say if they may not have traveled, but you might meet a woman that says, okay, are you willing to be with a person and introduce them to that lifestyle. But that person may have always dated people or been around people who didn't go out and is that me? That's not me.
May I ask a question, NY, real quick? May I ask a question? So when they asked you these questions, like when you've been experienced those reactions, when I had a passport, did you have one at the time? Just wonder.
Lakia, I had one. It had no stamps in it. What happened was I got it back in. I got my first one back in 2009, and that was to impress the girl that I was with because it was that important to her.
Feedback. Somebody's getting feedback.
Yeah, terribly.
Yeah.
Terribly.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
No, somebody's feedback. It's somebody's getting bad feedback into the show.
Hey, me.
Okay.
But,
So
you
what I
know,
was
if
saying
you want to
was-
ask that question, and what is
You Morgan. Go ahead, Lakia.
No, I asked that question because I was wondering, could that have been something more eternal also? Now, I'm gonna just give you guys my thought process on that question, because I have a passport and I have no stamps on it either, because I haven't had a chance to go anywhere other than like local, and maybe my own fears to some degree because I don't want to be too far from home. But anyway, it's strange to me that a woman would actually, vet a man that way or make a man feel a certain way because of that, which is very weird to me. And then secondly, so that's for me, it goes into, is it something that maybe a guy kind of internally feels some kind of way because a woman has that? And it sometimes people can take things the wrong way based on their own perceptions, or their own issues. And I'm not saying you have an issue with that, but I was just wondering if that could have been the situation, the reason why it seemed that way to you, that she was gloating, but she was just maybe happy and excited, or did they say, well, I don't deal with no man that doesn't have any stamps on his passport? Is that how they really react?
Well, okay, so I'll give you three.
Okay.
So I told you I got the first one because the woman I was dating at the time, I realized how important that was. First, I was trying to prove something. And then,
Did she make you feel like
later on down the line,
did you hear what I said? Like, did she make you feel like you had to do that to her, or is that something?
Because what usually surrounds that whole thing is you need to be able to keep up, and you might get left behind.
But is that what she said to you? Like, I'm just trying to understand. So did she say to you? Did she try to make you feel bad because you didn't have a passport?
Yeah, Lakia. So when someone says, there can be a hard time keeping up with me. Okay, then you need to get on the program. You need to get on the ship, or whatever happens. So there's an insistence that comes with that. When are you gonna use it? When are you gonna put stamps in? There are all these follow-up questions. And I'll tell you what, there was another woman that I met, and she told me, if you haven't left the United States, you're not living, because America is not that amazing.
But was that towards you, or was that towards her?
Towards everybody, Lakia. Everybody who hadn't traveled outside of the United States. Towards you're lame if you didn't go.
Okay. So was she felt like you couldn't date her because you weren't traveling? Or be a good man for her because of that?
All I can tell you is it's used as a bit of a badge of honor, and it's used as a bit of an exclusion criteria.
I would like to meet these women. I honestly, next time, please, give them my numbers. I just want to have a conversation, because I just don't. I really don't think that really. I just don't understand how that can even be happening. Honestly, I just feel that way.
Well,
David, we gotta clip this right here.
what is for them, Lakia, what it speaks to is class and income level. And the assumption, whether it's a good assumption, bad or indifferent, is that if you don't have the money to get a passport, you don't have the money and the means to travel abroad. And it's like Anwar said, Dr. Dunbar said, they use it as an exclusionary method to say, you're not in my class, you can't afford to travel, you can't afford my lifestyle, aka
Those women say that.
you can't afford me.
All right.
Is it the issue of getting the passport? Because it's not that much.
It's not the issue of getting the passport, it's the issue of them traveling outside the country and using, because the passport allows you to do that. So that's
Right.
why the passport is used as the defining point, but that's how you leave the country is with a passport. So
But,
by
I mean,
saying
even
you have a
said-
passport and if you got stamps on it, how many stamps you have, where have you been, you know, that gets the conversation going. And if you don't have one, you already used it. If you do have one and haven't used it, that's good as well.
So I'm just going to stay just a little bit longer, but I think there are a couple things here. What you just saw is that, and I'm sure it's true for us as well, but ladies don't know what other ladies are saying to men when they're
Correct.
interacting with them. So like he doesn't know because she's never been on a date with another woman. So she doesn't know that this is going on.
Right.
So I think
I'm
that's
in circles.
significant.
I'm in
And so
circles with a lot of
you
women.
you know,
I'm
at
in
some
circles with
point
women that make
that
money
has to
that
actually
travel around the world. I'm in those circles. I'm in circles with women that do some major things. And I
Yeah,
haven't yet
but,
heard somebody say that. That's why
but you're not in the circles where they're talking to men and they're vetting men. That's a different dynamic.
but women talk to each other. We share with one another.
Not like you think you do.
Honestly, I'm just gonna put it out there, okay? Because you know me, I'm gonna be me. I don't believe it. I think y'all taking it personal because women are traveling and doing stuff, and it comes across that way. I think they're just saying, "Hey, come on! Like I want to travel. Come, make sure that's something that I like to do. Come do that with me." And then you make that decision if you can or not. But I don't think they're saying, oh, if you're not traveling, you're not in my class. I think they're saying, hey, this is something I like to do. If you're into me, let's do it and make sure we make this happen. And you make the decision if you can or not.
But he already gave you context that what she said.
Well,
That
go ahead, Dave.
believe that.
I heard, but no, perception can be. That's all I'm saying about the perception. When sometimes something can be taken the wrong way. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Lakia. If you walked into a man's house and you saw ski equipment and he asked you if you ever skied, what would you tell him?
Wait a minute. What would I tell him if he has ski equipment? He has ski equipment. Oh, you got ski equipment. I love.
Hold on.
I might not.
I said if he ever asked you if you've been skiing, what would you tell him?
And I would say I have not, but I have gone. I would love to go.
Okay. Now, what if he uses the ski equipment as a barometer to exclude you? Because ski equipment is not cheap.
If he's saying, well, listen, I want to go skiing, I'm like, hey, I'd love to go with you.
But what I'm saying is this: what if he's saying that before you go, you got to purchase your equipment and go get some skiing lessons to get to where he is before he considers it?
I can pay for my own stuff. Yeah, I can. Sure, I would. What day we're going? Got it. Let's go.
I don't think you understand how long it takes to learn how to ski.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about with the passport.
No, what I'm saying.
To go skiing, I could just go tobogganing, or I can go. We can have that conversation. We can have that conversation about it and say, okay, well, what about this? I'll go have a drink or some hot cocoa in my cute ski suit by the fire, and I see you when you come down the slope. Why can't it just be that?
for the same reason that women who travel abroad don't want to vacation domestically.
But okay,
That's not the point, though. It has nothing to do with travel domestically.
If a guy said, "Listen, I got stamps on my passport. I love to travel," and he has none, and my hope is he's going to say, "You know what? I've always wanted to. I have one. I'm glad I'm with someone that understands how to travel. It'll make it easier."
But that's the assumption. You're assuming that the women that Dr. Anwar is talking about will do that.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is they won't.
Okay, well, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Okay.
But my opinion is, I think you're thinking too hard on it. I think you should call her on and say, "Sure, you know I love to travel. Where can we go?" And see how what that reaction gets you. That's all I'm
That
saying.
wasn't a conversation.
I was just being quiet because but it is. I have in my circle of women, are professional, multiple license, doctorate, and everything. A couple of them will not date men that have not had heavy travel. And when I say that, I'm not talking about state to state, because I'm like that in some instance. They don't, because it shows a sign of financial stability, financial security. It shows that they're well-versed. It shows a lot in their eyes. Me, I'm a little open. I look at it different. Before I was traveling like this, I was before, so I'm a little open-minded. But believe it or not, the circle of women I've been around who ask men about their travel is a factor of time.
I'm not going to say a whole 100% that some women are not like that. I'm not saying that. But I am saying I just wonder, if you took a different approach from when she said it, would you get a different response? Because maybe it could be taken a certain way. But I get it. And someone made a comment, that's the truth. Men do have standards too. There are some things that men like to do or don't like to do, and a woman, like a lot of things that Kevin Samuels was saying, rest in peace with him, that men like the women certain height, certain size, so that could take. I'm not saying that couldn't happen as well, but I just wondered if it was taken off a certain way because of maybe not having had that opportunity to travel yet, but have a passport, maybe just haven't gotten one yet.
I think everyone has their standard level. They have their level. I remember talking to a guy that told me I was a brand that I wore to make brands. And I was like, what? So everyone has their standard. Everyone has their pick, what they like. I mean, we all do. We all do. We all do our measurements and our eliminations on certain things that we're going to tolerate or not tolerate. Some are superficial, some are genuine, some are past triggers.
Well, I think it's I'm not saying it's wrong. I mean, I know everyone has their preference. I think it's a real thing. And I think what's interesting is when you talk to, let's say maybe the boomers in your family, and they start looking at why people haven't paired up and paired off. Well, there's selection criteria like this that people are either pairing up or not pairing up over. So a lot of people don't know that this exists. And my family, we didn't, at some point that kind of enter your mind and say, okay, that's something I really want to do or I don't want to do. But I didn't grow up seeing a lot of that. So for me, it was just never priority when I started my federal job. And I remember telling my mother about that one time. We were driving around Tonawanda, and she looked at me and she said, that sounds kind of shallow that they would ask you that. But that's a part of the zeitgeist now. So I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. But judgments are made on that initially, as opposed to, okay, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to get one? A lot of times, if you don't have it right away, some condescending things can be said to you, and you can hear things like, if you haven't left the United States, you haven't lived, because America is not that amazing. So.
The unspoken story is what we in the United States don't understand geographically about Europe is this. In order to travel in Europe, you have to have a passport. Now, when we look at Europe in terms of geographical size to the United States, we have to understand that if you start on the west coast of Europe, which is Portugal, and you move east going towards Russia, that essentially encompasses the entire United States. So where we can fly 3,000 miles from New York to LA without a passport, you can't do that in Europe. So that's why most Europeans have passports, because they have to. It's a necessity. In the United States, you don't. So we're spoiled in that regard. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Because at the hotel, I've seen passports from Saudi Arabia, Russia, Ukraine, Portugal, places in the Philippines, because it's necessary to travel. We're spoiled and we're fortunate in that regard. So that's why a lot of Americans don't. But I assure you that if we had to have passports to travel from state to state, there would be nobody in the U.S. who would not have a passport. And that's the thing that's not really addressed, is the proximity that Europe and all the other countries share. For example, if you want to go from France to England, you have to have a passport. But it's a 20-minute ride on the channel. Nobody ever talks about that. Case in point, I'm in Niagara Falls. For me, it's a 20-minute ride to Buffalo. I don't need a passport to go there, but you need a passport to travel from the UK or Britain to France, or they won't let you over. And so those type of things are always missed. And I absolutely do plan on traveling abroad. I don't have my passport. I have the paperwork, and I got to get it submitted. But that's what it is. So, if that's included in the larger context of the conversation, I think it lends itself to a better understanding of why some people who are in that echelon of life and they're making that type of money, they want to do that because it gives them exposure. It makes them feel like everything that they've done, they worked hard to achieve, is worth it. Because like everybody says, if I want to go do something in the US, I can just do it. But if I want to go do something in France, if I want to go to the Bordeaux region, I want to go and sit on I can't remember the name of the beach right now. Or if I want to go to the cheese region of Italy, or if I want to go to Greece, or if I want to go sit on Sicily, I need a passport to do all that. And it's an untapped market for, I'm going to say, about 95% of Americans. Don't know about that stuff. They see the pictures, movies, and that's it.
Hey, I need to drop off soon, but I want to address what Ray Alexander said there. And I've had Ray Alexander on my channel. He says when a woman works hard to acquire her education, developing her career, and establishing an upper middle class lifestyle, isn't it her prerogative to choose the type of man she wants to date and marry? Ray, yes. But the question is, when you make the criteria so stringent, and when you set the bar so high, how many men can jump over that bar? And again, while they're still here, then you have the boomer generation looking and saying, why hasn't so-and-so paired off yet?
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't my daughter, or why hasn't my niece paired off yet? Why hasn't my nephew found someone? Are these types of things worth not? That's what I would say to that, Rachel. So absolutely, the choice. We all have choice today, but
on top of that, too,
are good people being left on the table because they don't have this one thing at this one particular time? So that's what I would say to that.
But when you also would you also think that although everybody has a choice, they can choose, the type of person they want, but you don't belittle or try to demasculate somebody because they don't fit your standards or what you think the type of person you want to date. And I think that's a part of that with the whole passport thing too. You don't meet my standards because you don't travel, so you don't exist to me, or you can't exist in my world. It's almost like belittling the person because of that standard, like you said, that bar that you have. It's okay, somebody don't meet your bar, you move on, but then how you respond to that person is where the issue comes in. That's how I think about it, because I've met people that, I didn't, I've met and talked to and realized that we weren't, compatible, but I didn't belittle them because of that. You know what I mean? I didn't put them down because of whatever that difference was, or, whatever that standard was that I might have had in that situation.
For me, I would think that if that person, has the means to travel and do all that stuff, but she was interested in you, wouldn't it be nice just to say, okay, if you haven't done it, we're gonna work together.
Right.
We're gonna work together that you do it. Yeah, would you be willing to do it? If somebody say, no, I don't have no interest, then you already know, like, this isn't
exactly.
For me, I like to travel.
But to say, because that person said they've never traveled outside the country, and you just cut them off without even, making that option in the relationship, to even see where their mind is, as well as, like I said earlier, I said they may have been in a circle where the people they were around may have had a passport but never went out the country, or he may have just traveled in the U.S. and never had a need for a passport because of the people that he was associating with never went out the country. So they all traveled, and they probably traveled and did all kinds of things, but never went out the country, never had that need for a passport. Now he meets this person who says, do you have a passport? Oh, you don't have a passport. Oh, I can't mess with you. Or you do have a passport. Where have you been? Because that's the next question, what they ask you. Once you do say you have a passport, like you said, Anwar, you said, you have one, but it don't have any stamps in it. Oh, that's going to be a red flag to them. Oh, you got one, but you don't even go nowhere. So that just lines up the questions for, and it really also shows the fact that they're not really interested. Instead of saying, okay, you have a passport, you haven't been anywhere, would you like to go somewhere? Or where would you like to go? Maybe we could do something together. That doesn't come up if they're not interested. If they're interested, they're going to make that offer. They're going to say, well, where would you like to go? Maybe we can go somewhere together and get some stamps in that book.
It may speak to the leadership skills that you say. Men may say, if it's a woman, men may say, listen, baby, we gonna work this out. We gonna make this happen. I'm gonna guide you. If she's willing to be receptive to that. But to shoot somebody down automatically, I just don't think, like we said earlier, guys don't. That's not how we handle it. We're more ready to, like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. This is what we need to do, step by step, and we're gonna get there and make it happen.
I don't, and I think that's not what a lot of women want to do. And I think that's the difference. Versus can they? Sure. Do they want to? Most will probably say no.
Herb, I would agree with that. One sentiment you encounter, or I've encountered, is a lot of some women don't want to have to show you certain things. They want you to already know.
Already know, right?
So when you run up against that, that's kind of problematic.
Yeah.
What is if I ask, what's the topic?
Do you have a passport?
Talking about standards and passports.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because because even with, now I say my skin is black, but there's standards of skin color. There's color. A lot of men are colorists. Where if a woman's skin is too dark, they're not interested. So, do we have a passport? Okay. But sometimes a woman who's not the complexion that the man's looking for too won't even ask if she has a passport or not.
Well, you should have never
And I
talked to her if he know he
and
doesn't like
I
that color.
and I get that. I get because of my skin complexion. It's browner. Now I'm black because it's tan. And I said I wanted a tan, but not this dark. But anyway, but it's like you said, different people have different standards. Um, and that's what that question to me just says. Everybody has different. And is it a standard? Is standard a word? Is it a preference? I would say preference because I don't think one is better than the other.
See, we here. What's going on?
What's going on? I had to jump up when I heard the standard of color. I mean, the funny thing is this: if a guy is actually with you, then pretty much you already set that standard in his book for you. So in that situation, the standard of color wouldn't really too much matter, would it? Thank you.
I had to mute you because you got that feedback.
What you want to
Are you sure
respond?
it's me? You sure it's me?
Well, I know before I came on, I heard some echoing and stuff, but I normally because I don't have my headset on and my Bluetooth don't work actually on StreamYard, so I'm a mute when I'm not talking.
No. Go ahead, Lakia.
Can you hear me? And how does that sound?
We hear you.
Do I have a
it's when
feedback?
I think when other people talk and you're not unmuted, that's when you get the feedback. When I mute you, I don't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
If you're talking, go ahead. If you got a point to make, go ahead.
No, I just want to make sure I'm trying to clear it up. What I was saying is that there's some men that won't even look at a woman that's darker skin or a lighter skin complexion, depending on what his preference is. So I wasn't saying there's someone that's being in a relationship. I'm saying someone won't even look at or give them a chance to even find out if they have a passport or not because they're not the skin complexion they're looking for.
But
That's what I said.
That's the thing too. Even if a guy only wants a dark or a light skinned woman, that's his choice. That's like if a woman wants a man with money or not with money. That's their choice. Forcing someone or kind of swaying them, ultimately they're not going to be happy in that situation. And personally, I wouldn't want to be with nobody who, wants to date a light skinned man but deals with me because of the way I carry myself. Then that puts her in a situation where she's always saying, as soon as I get this next light skinned guy in my life come along, I'm going anyway.
Exactly.
Right. I know that's why I wasn't disagreeing. That's everyone has their own preferences. That's why I changed the word from standard to preference, because just because someone might like a lighter skinned person or a darker skinned person or whatever, or a certain ethnicity. Sorry for the phone. I'm not at home. The phone won't stop ringing, but
I was gonna say that sounds like a business phone ring.
It's not a standard, but I say a preference.
You all tie in together. Standard, preference.
Hey, I got a drop.
All right. Thanks for.
But I just want to come up and speak to the topic, really quickly. David, you mind if I? Hey, I did folks said they liked my last stream about lessons learned being a YouTube content creator. David liked it. He's going to come over to my channel when I do the follow up sheet. Hopefully, you can come. Anyone here is welcome to come because you guys helped Dave with his show. But it's just going to be a talk about lessons learned being a YouTube content creator. So David,
actually,
so I'll be doing that in a couple of nights.
I plucked the poem title from that. I have to hit you up with it later on.
Okay. Yeah, let me know, Herb.
All right.
All right. Y'all take care.
Yep. Take care, man.
Thanks for coming through.
I want to speak to the topic real quick. I mean, like you guys were talking about earlier, I mean, it's to an end where a woman doesn't have her passport and a guy does. Generally, that's what normally a guy would, he would laugh at the situation, but he would say, well, we're going to work on that, technically to help. I mean, in most cases, I've seen women, come to a situation to where a man doesn't have a lot of stuff together in life, say he don't have a passport. She'll kind of come at him asking what he been doing all his life, and that's most, not saying all, but that's most, to an instant to where, they want to give a lot of pushback because you haven't traveled, and in majority, men and women haven't traveled like that. I've had my passport in my 20s. My kids, they don't have passports since they were young. They've been more places than I have, but it's to the extent if they were to go in a relationship with a woman in their, I'm saying 20s or something like that, they're young now, but in their 20s, they've already been to several countries already. And it's not the thing to kind of shame somebody for not being well traveled, because I mean, with me, I've been to all 48. I just started going out of the country, but I've been to all 48, easily.
Ladies, anybody? Any come back with that?
I guess I feel to some degree. No comeback with what he's saying. I mean, what he's saying is his experience, and I get it. Even with Anwar, that's his experience. But I still wanted to come off with the other thought that I had, which was, it's still for some women. I don't think that's a major factor. I want to say for most, in my opinion. I do believe that it was a thought that I had I lost my train of thought that quick. I apologize, but I just feel that there could be, it's superficial. That's the word. Thank you, Lord. Superficial. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a level of preference that will help facilitate and keep healthy mental health, healthy spiritually, healthy, all around when you're dealing with someone. Those things should be the focus, not the material things. So that's why I say, to a degree, maybe that's being judgmental, that is being superficial, because that is an addition. Like I was in a marriage with someone that didn't like to travel at all, and I was like, hey, I like to travel. But it's not like I'm saying to him, I don't want to be with you for that. But I was like, would you be willing to, I started to negotiate, and then he was willing. He was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I don't know. I don't want to say it's superficial I don't want to just take my words back and forth, but I'm just saying it seems superficial in a way, because relationships should be built on mental, stability, spiritual stability, just being healthy as a unit, opposed to, and maybe travel is part of that for some people. So I don't know. I'm just digesting all of this as I'm talking.
I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of people's circle of influence. So as you say, you got people that's, as a woman, you got well-to-do other friends or people that you associate with, and
like
they're talking
image.
about,
Right.
and they're talking about, oh, me and such and such did this and did that.
Right.
Sooner or later, you want to have those experiences to fit in. Now, if you talk about your man and say, well, he ain't never went nowhere since his family reunion when he was like 15 to 16, they go like, what the hell you dealing with him for? Like, to get out there and have somebody that's more experienced, more seasoned. So a lot of that plays into that person not having a shot because of your circle of influence. And it could work both ways with guys too, but I don't think guys really don't get into all of that, or even share all that information. You said you think
men are very prideful.
All right.
Sorry, Dave. I'm just saying. I was just adding to what you were saying, that I think they're prideful too. That for some men that does matter to them as well.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything else to this subject? Yeah, sleep and shit.
I've been
No,
talking. I try not to be chatty patty because I felt like I was being chatty patty.
no. I mean, the circumstances they are what they are. I mean, either you do have a passport, you're gonna align yourself with somebody that does, or they don't. I mean, there's not much else to really discuss in terms of what an individual is going to do. Now, where somebody starts versus where they're finished, that's the larger question.
Right.
And who's willing to assist and who isn't? And is it ultimately a deal breaker?
Right.
And that's why we always speak on about, are you coachable? Are you teachable? A lot of people may not like those words. Like, what do you mean? I'm a grown ass man. I'm a grown ass woman. But we all still need to be coached and taught on a regular basis. And if you're not willing to be coachable or teachable, shit, you don't have a shot in this world. I mean, what's your expectations other than you got to know everything? So you don't feel like nobody can give you anything to make you better or help you with self-improvement. So that's part of it too.
Mhm.
We're going to move on to the next subject matter.
That's probably best. Yeah.
Number 2, summertime is coming. Are you ready? Physically, mentally, well, emotionally, it's kind of the same thing. Are you ready? Because as I said before, we were in the pandemic, so these last couple summers has been kind of at a distance, like, I don't know if I'm comfortable being around, going out in crowds like that, but things have loosened up a lot now. So are you ready to get back out there? That's the question. Who wants to tackle it first?
I'll be the first to say that I am overweight. I need to drop at least 40 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
So as for me, it's a work in progress. And now that I have a little bit more free time, I'm starting to work on the home because I'm actually looking to get into a different business venture. But by the time the summer finishes up, I'll be there. But for me, it's not a pressing issue because I'm going to do what I do regardless of my weight. So from that regard, I'm always summer ready.
Anybody else?
Well, I'm
I'll
working
go.
on mine.
I'm not summer ready. I need to lose 20 more pounds.
Lose 20 more pounds.
I know I'm not ready. I'm actually getting ready for the USATF track and field masters 100, 200, and possibly the long jump. So I know I'm not ready. I need to drop at least 20, 25 pounds. The first meet is June 25th. That's the USA Niagara Masters, and top 3 goes to the Empire State Games, which is an event that they used to have in New York State for a number of years, the Empire State Games. And so now they're bringing back the track and field portion of it, which will be in June, I think June 30th or 31st, something like that, the week after this meet. So they're going to be having the Empire State Game track and field meet. So I'm considering competing in both of those. So I need to get my weight down.
Oh,
so
good deal.
I'm not summer weight ready yet either. But I have some kids that are running. We're doing an elite club this year that starts we got trials this coming Sunday, and we're going to have practice starting on Tuesday. But we're putting together an elite team because the Junior Olympics are coming to Rochester, and this is going to be the closest it's going to be to this area in maybe 5 years. So I'm trying to give some kids the opportunity to have that opportunity to go to the Junior Olympics and take part in that because, like I said, this is the first time it's been this close for them. So it'll give them an opportunity to say they've been in the Junior Olympics and competed and just have that opportunity to, share that with their friends. So we're starting practice. Like I said, the tryouts are on Sunday, but practice starts on that following Tuesday. And right now, I have one of the top girls in the state that I'm coaching. She just took first, second, and third, 100, 200, and 400 meters. She just won for All Catholic New York State, and she just won on the 200 event at another state meet this past Saturday.
Yeah, that's well done. Are they gonna hold them at the U of R?
No, it's at Nazareth. They have a new track there. And
yeah,
so it's at Nazareth. Yeah, I think
that's
Galasanos or somebody. Not Galas. What's the other one that own the Bills now? Is it Galasano? Who owns the Bills? Pagulas. I think they built a new track and field and football facility there. So
man, I tell you, boy, there's nothing like running on a new surface, man. I remember back when I was in high school, we ran at Jamestown, man. I tell you, boy, ooh.
Like I said, this will be a great experience for a lot of these kids in Niagara County and Erie County to have that opportunity to compete in something like this, a national, track meet like this, Junior Olympics. And so I've been putting it out there to all the schools and because it's 13 to 18-year-olds. So that's a good, 8th grade, I think 8th, 9th grade, and then up to, so it's a great opportunity. So I'm trying to get ready because I want to actually compete so the kids feel motivated, not only that I'm out there coaching them, but to actually see me run in the same meet with them, because we run the Masters and the Open run at the same meet as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a treat for whoever does. I remember getting to the sectionals the one year I ran, and I was, I always thought sectionals was the big ticket, and I was like, well, after this is state, so there's really got to be a big ticket. Then after that, there's national. So yeah, man, for kids at that age group to make it, whether they do well or not, is just a testament to their hard work.
That be able to have that conversation that they've gone and share that with their friends. That's a big deal.
Yeah, especially around here where a lot of people that age don't get to travel at all, and that links back to what we were talking about originally.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm trying to get my summer ready. And then I got some other plans I'm trying to do as well. But that's one of the things I'm trying to do is get ready for these track meets.
Well, I just came from Miami. And I think I looked real good. And I'm gonna say damn good in my outfit, in my swimsuits. But I did not look as like them Puerto Rican women, and they are some gorgeous women, and they got body. That's all I can say. So if I was trying to compare, I would say maybe I got some work to do. But I think I looked good in my swimsuits, in my outfits. So.
Yeah, you got to show the proof. That's what you.
I'm ready. I did not put anything up. I put like some things, but I didn't put pictures up.
Shit, I got a six pack. If you want to believe it, then believe it. I got a six pack.
Myself in my bathing suits. I did that one time, but I really don't like to do that. I don't. That's why. And I was in my bathing suit probably 90% of the time, so I don't like to do that. So that's why I didn't.
I can go get a 6-pack out the refrigerator right now.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I can sit there and sell y'all all types of dreams like you're ripped. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, kid, but I'm just saying.
Listen, I know I look good. No one has to tell me. I know I look good. I just, I had pink, orange, I had all the colors. I looked beautiful in all of them in my brown skin, and it looked beautiful. I liked it. I know this camera stuff makes me look really thick, but I'm not that thick the way it looks. So, but I'm thick, but I ain't that thick. That's all I'm saying.
With me, I had to go, and I still got to lose like 20 some more pounds, and I kind of hit an impasse for a while. I had got to the point I had lost 50 pounds, and then of course slack up a little bit. So I'm still in that ballpark, but I just haven't pushed it to the next level to lose them the last 25 pounds that I desire to lose. But prior to that, it was bad during that pandemic. It was bad. It was like, and I think one of the telling tales was I had went to the big mall in New Jersey. I forgot what it's called. I don't know, Great America, something like that. Shit, I could barely get around that joint. I was like, I can't even. Like, I was thinking about getting one of them damn motor scooter things. Right, my back was hurting. Like, I was like, I can't do this. And then after that, I said, no, this shit got to change, whatever. Like, I was like sad for myself, whatever. Like something got to give. And then after that, I was like, yo, I got to make changes. I was like, if I can't get around here, my back hurting, I'm about to get into one of these damn scooters, whatever, I'm done. So I'm still pushing. Still got a lot of more. It's mainly eating wise, whatever, as far as making sure you plan and prep with your meal plan, and then make sure you exercise and stuff like that. So a lot of times I have some shortcomings with that, or just doing everything on the fly. So.
Speaking of eating, I just thought about, I just switched to about the last month I've been pescatarian, trying to stick to more, but I don't do a lot of seafood because I'm not a big seafood eater anyways, but just consider, like a friend of mine, she does it, so she was encouraging me to do it and talking about it. So I decided to give it a try. And what I found is that because I don't do a lot of seafood, I've been finding myself eating more vegetables and stuff, which is actually good. I feel a lot better than I did. I don't feel as heavy because I'm not eating beef, and I don't eat pork anyways, but I'm not eating beef. I'm not eating chicken. I'm not no kind of meat, just like, sometimes I'll have shrimp, but I do a lot of haddock and some salmon and things like that. Or I found like these, what's those things? Those crab, different things. But I just found myself coming up, because she gave me some recipes. That was one of my hardest problems, was trying to figure out just eating the same thing all the time. I got bored with it. But she gave me some ideas on how to make certain things and how to eat certain things. And so it allowed me to change up my eating habits. Like I said, it's been a month, and I feel really good. I went to the track today, and I was at the track for about 2 hours working out and doing I did a whole regimen of workout up there, and it felt really good. So like I said, I feel better. I feel lighter because I'm not eating all that heavy stuff. And I did like a cleanse before I started. I bought this package. It was like a 3-day cleanse, and good Lord, man, if you haven't done a cleanse and you do it, it is not a pretty sight. So I did a 3-day cleanse, and that made me feel a lot better as well. I did that about a month ago, and so I feel a lot better. But yeah, that's part of when you're trying to get that summer ready and just being consistent with it, especially once summer is over. You don't want to blow back up, because if you blow back up, then it makes it harder as you get older to get that weight back off the older you get. And like I said, I know it's tough for me, and I'm trying to compete. So that makes it even harder. Trying to run 100 meters and all that stuff, that ain't no joke.
And I always remember one thing one of my friends has said. She was like, the more you try to be in the spotlight and you're doing things, she's like, David, you got to be butt naked ready. You got to be butt naked ready. She said, you can't be this, out of shape dude, like you going up to the mic, breathing all heavy and all that stuff. She's like, that's not a good look, whatever. And this was way before the pandemic. This is when I started off, and she was like, so you got to be butt naked ready. So I always thought that was a good analogy.
That's definitely a good analogy right there.
Yeah, they say it's easier to stay ready than it is to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like with me, man. When I was in high school, it was crazy because you was talking about that earlier. My coach, he had competed in the summer wrestling tournaments with us, and it was funny. It was like a 78, I think the dude was like 78 years old, and
Wow.
threw my coach to hell. My coach
Wow.
was like 50. No, of course, it was like 48, almost 50. Yeah, man, got him with a hip toss, tossed him all the way over, man. Just threw him straight to the mat, and he already got a bad back and a bad neck. So,
That was it. He was done.
yeah, that was it. He was like 1, 2, 3, kill.
Wow.
He was still had his back. He still was like sprawled up on the mat while he was
Oh,
getting
no.
finished. It was hilarious, man. He was like, he's like, I ain't got it no more. I was like, you been ain't had it.
Yes,
You know,
that's
we
what I
used to
want
get
to
on
do is
them.
I want to motivate these kids, you know, and
Yeah.
being out there working out with them. Because I work out with them anyways, but I haven't seriously ran or competed. So for them to actually see me compete in the same meet with them, that would really, that's going to really motivate a lot of the kids. Because like I said, you know, I work out with them, I do drills and stuff with them, but nothing too extreme.
Yeah, and that helps too, because I'm telling you, man, to see my coaches always got out there with us and did the exercise.
Yeah.
They ain't do all of them, but they did majority.
Exactly.
Just to show, to get themselves in shape. Because one of my coaches, he would always do that all the time to, get himself in shape. He's like, yeah, because wrestling was more like in the winter sport going into the spring. So he was like, yeah, I'm just getting ready for the summer. He would always say that. It's like now, man, with me, like one guy, Shannon Ross, he was getting on me about getting a bike. I got to spin the bike. So I got the bike at home. It's echoing. And then I turned around and got this Oculus thing that you put over your face and, you exercise. It's like do motivation. So I got that. So I'll be doing the boxing on there. They have like different exercises and stuff like that you can do. And man, I'm telling you, it's intense. I did a video on my channel about it, and all you seen was me just like I did the video with me I had the monitor in the back with my TV showing the actual video what I was looking at, and you see me live doing it, man. I was moving everywhere, hitting stuff in my hands, my legs, and man, I'm talking about that thing is intense. That's why I was like, man, this virtual stuff it's a big workout. I mean, for people who need an actual coach, that's why I be like, man, if I do this thing every day, there's no need that I'm not gonna drop these pounds. Cause like my biggest thing, I go to work and I actually do move around in my work. I drive, but I actually drop deliveries and stuff. But I gotta jump out the truck, drop the stuff. Sometimes I gotta take it off pallets and bring it upstairs and stuff. So to an extent, I'm thinking that that's a workout. And my friend was saying that those muscles get weak because you do that every day. He was like, you gotta change
so
it
you're
up.
only using certain muscles, right?
Yep. And so when I started, saying doing that, and then adding walking and doing that bike, man, that was a whole nother level. So that's why I was like, man, this just regular stuff that I do on a regular, it's not doing no justice. Like I literally have to get out and do more.
That's one of the things we have to talk about on this show is health, especially for men, because we don't go to doctors, we don't go to dentists, we don't go to prostate, we don't do a lot of the things. Women go to doctors all the time and get checked out and make sure everything is fine. We don't go unless it's falling off. Then we go try to figure out, and we still hesitate to go when it's falling off. So that's something that we really need to talk about as far as like men's health one day. Maybe do a show on that and talk about men getting healthy, because as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing something November 19th, International Men's Day, and we're going to focus on men's health. And I'm trying to put together now a bunch of like local medical organizations to come out in one location and do screenings and different tests and things on that day for Men's Day, International Men's Day, and recognizing men's health and how to address a lot of the health problems that men are having, because we don't know, and a lot of men won't go. So that's something we really need to focus on for us.
And when is that International Men's Day?
November 19th.
Okay. Yeah, we need to do something.
I'll keep you posted on it.
And I think
because you might even want to do it down there. You could do it everywhere. I'm trying to promote it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah, you could do it down there. Put something together down there and just recognize that day and bring, get some organizations, healthcare organizations together. And I'll get you some information on it. We're still putting it together.
What I would tell you, Sheed, is actually look at some of your hospitals, especially down in the Atlanta area.
Well,
being that
yeah,
it's
that's
heavily black.
what you got to do. Healthcare.
Look at your hospitals.
Community
A lot
clinics
of them
and
will
different
offer free
organizations.
screenings.
Yeah,
So you don't actually have to rely on your medical or anything
The problem
else.
is not they have the facilities, but men won't go to them. So by having like that one day event where you can have all the men come to one location and do different workshops, and it's just all about men on that day, and then include the health care agencies and health screenings. That's just a plus to it to help address some of these issues that men are having, that they're reluctant to go to a doctor and get checked out.
And I think that starts young. I remember with the community center that used to be located on Center Ave and not Calumet, Center Ave and on I think it may have been Calumet. I remember the first time I was exposed as a kid. I was 14. Being exposed to how to check for testicular cancer, and that's something I do when I shower, probably at least once a month. And I think we're not exposed to that.
Right, exactly. That's why we're doing this event.
Yeah, so the lack of exposure when we're young only manifests itself and makes it even worse when we're older, because A, we don't know, and B, because we get caught up in a certain lifestyle that pushes us to be masculine, and to a certain degree it's okay, but then it gets to a point where it actually has so what I'm looking for, it has a negative impact and effect on our overall health. And that's when we get caught in limbo in terms of, just like you said, we don't go until it's falling off. Like I have an appointment to go see a doctor for internal bleeding that I was suffering with last week. Now, I know when I turn 42, because they recommend colonoscopies for black men in particular because of our history and our diets. So I had one when I was 42, and he said I should be good for another 8 to 10 years, and I'm in that window now. So when it occurred, I was like, okay, this isn't new to me, but I'm going to go ahead and get it checked out anyway. So I'll have my appointment Thursday, and we'll see what they say. But I'm at that point now where I'm just like, okay, regular checkups, screenings, because I'm at that point in my life now. And it's funny, I was just talking with my brother today when I went to help him remove a countertop. There's 11 siblings in my family, all total. The oldest is pushing 70.
Wow.
We're all still alive and still in relatively good health. There's not many people who can actually say that in their family. So we're blessed in that regard. But we know in order to maintain that blessing, we have to be vigilant.
All right. Brother Ray, you got anything you want to add to it? Thanks for joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I'm glad I could come in just a minute to say hello to everybody, since y'all on this hot topic tonight. Are her standards too high? I think what's happening is that a lot of men are uncomfortable with the fact that during this era, women are able to make a way for themselves. They're actually excelling in a lot of areas, and they're able to call the shots for themselves right now. So right now, I think what we're having is a clash of classes. So a lot of these women, they might have started out from the blue collar working class backgrounds. They might have gone to Spelman, then went to Vanderbilt Law School or something like that, or they might have gone to some college and then become a dentist or whatever. They're making these 6-figure salaries as directors of marketing, and they see the lifestyle of the people around them and they want to live that way. So what happens is that when men who have not made the same type of life choices, when they interact with them, I'm primarily talking about the millennial women, because in previous generations, they would go ahead and do that. The millennial women want the men to make similar lifestyle choices because they don't want to fall back financially. When they have children, they want their children to start off in the upper middle class and build on that. And if they don't marry well, then they could fall back relatively easy. It's not a guarantee, but if you raise your children well, sometimes they want to send them to private school. They kind of aim them in the right direction where they might go to West Point, Air Force Academy or something like that, or they might go to Morehouse. They might become an engineer out of Alabama A&M. But certain families raise their children that they're going to be college graduates. They're going to be professionals. So when these women interact with men who have not made those type of choices, there's a lot of discomfort, I think, on the part of these men. And also, like, for those people who have been, I do finance now, but for those people who have been in sales, you know, when you're selling something, there's always a pre-qualifier. When you qualify for a home, you go to a realtor, they want you to bring that mortgage certificate that says you've qualified for this amount, and we got 30 days to find you a home. So sometimes women are doing things like, well, where did you go to school? Where did you finish up? You know, because they want to know that the person that they're going to ultimately marry, first of all, respects what they've done with their lives and would be a life partner with them to raise children similarly. Are y'all kind of feeling where I'm coming from on that?
Yes, I am.
I'm not.
Okay.
My thing is this. I mean, honestly speaking, a good woman looks for that in a man. A good woman has all those characteristics in what you were talking about. But nowadays, a lot of women more or less want the bag, the money. The younger women do not want that. They're looking for someone to be a provider that has money, that has something that they can tangibly work with. If you ain't got no money, see, when you was talking about a man who has money that can help raise the family and, you know, do for the kids and have legacy, future and all that, the younger women are not looking for that. They're looking for something that can sustain them. If they have a kid, then they deal with that as it comes. But they're not looking, a lot of younger women are not looking for legacy and generational wealth. They're looking for what you're going to do. Like I always say this, society standards put people into a mindset of a me, self, and I only, you know, and it gets to a point where you lose generations of legacy and family and wealth due to the fact that, you know, it's all about me. Because if we had this family mindset, a lot of women would be marrying men on the principle of, you know, them being hardworking, being a dedicated man that's responsible and taking care of their family. Now, needless to say, there are a lot of men that probably don't follow that principle, but the ones that are, they should be just like we always talk about. We always hear, ain't no good women out here. And once we start doing the numbers, we say all the good women are getting wiped up, snatched up early. I was laughing because I was talking to my wife the other day. Well, it was past, but the point of it was we heard this Kevin Samuels talking about, you know, get married before 30. I was 25 when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was 29. And I started laughing. I said, whoop. You barely passed the curve. You barely made it. And she started laughing. And the whole thing of it was, like I told her, I said, when it come down to it, it's like, really, there's no real age limit on it. But to an extent, it's like she had a purpose on marriage. She had a purpose in her life. You know, I always talk about knowledge of self. A lot of people don't know where they're going in life. So for the women that actually know what they're going, they're not going to take nothing. They're not going to take less. And I applaud them for that. You know, for the men that are moving wrong or not moving in, you know, in their purpose or a situation that benefits them, I applaud them for not dealing with those guys. But you can't sit here and downgrade a guy because he's not fitting to your standard. You just nicely leave him alone.
Exactly.
Right. I agree with you on that. And also on the same token, these men need to nicely, only about 30% of these women are college grad, even it might be 25%, maybe 10% have graduate and professional degrees. So if you're coming in contact with a woman who has a law degree and she's working as an associate general counsel for a major corporation, and you're uncomfortable about her education, you're uncomfortable about her income, then that would not be a woman for you. And
Exactly.
also, there's a lot of class issues on that. Sometimes women working at certain high level corporate and professional environments, sometimes the guy who doesn't maybe understand that or doesn't have high regard for that is not the one for her, because there's going to be clashes. There's going to be clashes on how you raise the children, the importance of education, what type of activities that you want to do. And so I think that when I hear these guys saying that, you know, if you come into a woman and she has graduated valedictorian of her high school, and then she goes to a competitive school like Duke, and then she goes to John Hopkins Medical School, and you tell her that her education means nothing, that's completely disrespectful. And when these guys tell these women, so those are not the type of women for the guys that say that way or say those things, or they feel that way. And they are really frustrating themselves, because most women don't have that those type of credentials, and most women are cool with you. So if you don't want to go to school, or not school, if you don't want to go to college or something like that, you're more comfortable, you know, being a CDL truck driver, long distance truck driver, you're more comfortable, you know, going through a trade school to become an electrician. There are a lot of women, most women will date you and marry you and build a life with you. But if you're coming with in contact with someone who's a director of marketing and she has a master's degree, and you maybe had a couple of semesters college, dropped out, then you might, that's not necessarily the woman with you. Ideally, yes, people should not look at all those things, but in the real world, they're going to look at those things, and those things matter.
The biggest thing with a man talking about a woman in their degree is this. To a certain extent, a degree can benefit the family far as educational wise. Like a woman, she's went to Yale, she whatever degree she has. If it can benefit the family to where if I'm working as a a law paralegal and I'm moving up to get my own firm, or let's say if I have a car dealership and she did marketing, she can help me out that way. Other than that, to an extent, I'm playing devil advocate. I can go both sides. To a degree, her degree is going to benefit the kids. Everything that she learned in college, yes, her job, is good. But if she doesn't work, only thing that degree is going to do is benefit the kids.
It could benefit you as well. It's a
And
degree in
that's
marketing, and she's helping you market the vehicles to the public and increase your sales. Then that is helping you substantially, because you're going to eventually have to hire someone to do that anyway.
exactly. And see, that's the thing. That's like one of my friends. His wife did accounting. So basically, he's in the IT field of security and IT. So he has a couple of shell companies that he runs through, his LLC, and his wife with accounting, she runs those. The properties, the property management, she does all that. And when it comes down to it, she does a great job at it because, it benefits the family. The daughter, she's into it. The son, they all into it, listening to what the mother has put forth and did. But it also spirals from the husband. So this is the thing: when a man and his wife work together, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. But to the point where, what are we doing? If the woman is only looking at her interests and the man is only looking at his interests, then that's when the family dynamic breaks apart. That's why I say, everybody has this I and me and only culture right now, to where it's only working if I'm a part of it, if I'm doing this, if I'm doing that. Other than that, it don't work. And that's why I say, going back to the education part, that woman, her education is benefiting a lot of people.
Okay. Well,
Ladies,
I mean,
anything-
why emphasize those? Okay, if that's not the type of woman that's right for you, why not concentrate on the women that don't have those type of credentials? Because a woman that has invested in herself to get her education wants to use it. She's not going to go through all that to sit home. And even if she takes time off while she has her children, her education is going to benefit, as you said, those children. But it's a class issue as well. She may want to raise her children to value education, raise her children to want to go to college and work as upper middle class professionals. And there's nothing wrong with that. So a person that's opposed to that would not be compatible with her. And even a husband that didn't make those type of choices will resent, say, well, I didn't go to college and it worked for me. Well, instead of having that long-term thing happen, she's making sure that she interacts with men who have already made the type of life choices that she made. That's why they connect in college. That's why they connect in grad school and professional school. That from what I've been seeing a lot of times. So I'm curious as to why there's this almost an attack on these women with professional credentials rather than deal with the women or date and marry the women who have similar backgrounds rather than women who are working at high level professional backgrounds.
Where was the attack?
What I'm saying, when men say things like, not on this, maybe just where men say that your education means nothing, that's an attack. That's disrespecting what she's done.
It's a balance in both. Okay, to a degree. Let's say a woman and a guy say her education means nothing. To a degree, when he's talking about her education means nothing, and like I said, I do both sides. When it comes down to it, that woman, if she's entering the work field to being a paralegal, and then she know her husband makes a lot of money, she wants to work from home. How good is her education if she's not doing nothing to provide for the family but take care of the kids? So when a guy pushes her education means nothing, to a certain extent, she did 20 years of paralegal on the way to becoming a lawyer, and her husband comes in. He's already a lawyer. He's making, upwards 4, maybe 5, giving that a lot of money. Then she quits and just be a stay-at-home mom.
Why would she quit though?
She'd have to. Nobody's gonna be there to babysit. If the object of two people to get together,
she's had to quit her job.
She's going to have to.
Yeah,
really?
And she can always go back to the field. But the point, she's leaving that course just to take care of the kids. Because I mean, you looking at daycare, even though daycare is good for both, but that nurturing between those youth years, to an extent, with my wife, when I had twins, it was to a point where her grandma came in and took care of our twins until they got of age to where we really was comfortable with bringing them to a nursery. And every day my wife would just yearn over coming home and being with them. Me in my position, she actually she could have, because a couple years down the line, a situation happened. My wife didn't work for almost a year and a half, close to, and the whole family was looking at me like,
what did your wife do?
She work in the medical field. What is it? Like call centers and stuff like that. So to an extent,
that's not what he's referring to. He's talking about.
But I'm saying even if she was in a high paying job to an extent, and I was in a high paying job, I would literally want my wife to take off time to be there for the kids. No questions asked. Not saying that her education or whatever didn't matter, but to a point she can always go back to work. There's never an issue to where once the kids get to a certain age, go back to work and continue doing what you were doing. Laws change. You can always go back and get refreshers. But the point of it is, a lot of guys are homing in on that because it's to an extent, certain women, when they marry these high profile or big guys, they want to continue working and doing the things. But if it's not beneficial for the family, then that guy, he don't want that going. And so it's like a woman has to choose between her career and almost making partner to what's best for my husband and the family.
Ladies,
so she's getting put in that position.
I think
I'd like to see the ladies chime in. Annetta, you got.
Come on, Annetta.
Yeah, I'm the ladies' perspective as well.
Why y'all calling on me?
You don't
We
even
want a
know
woman's
business.
point of view on this
You
subject.
don't know what we see right now.
But I'm definitely curious as what you think on this one, because I ain't going for it, but that's just me. I ain't no woman, so
I don't agree.
thank you.
I think that everyone handles things differently. I believe, and Willie can vouch if you want. I think I have a pretty healthy and sustainable career. And I had to stay home for 10 years to raise my children. And I feel like that was the most, and that was my ex-husband's decision. He thought that would be beneficial for our children. And I have to admit, I think it was the most brightest and the best decision that he could come up with, me being home with the children, because it gave them financial support, and it also gave them moral support, and it taught them what the structure of the household and what our expectations was of them leaving outside the household. And so I think that was beneficial. I think that in the society we live in now, everything has a sexual market value and a financial market value and a career market value on everything. And it's kind of horrible because people don't look at the individual anymore, and they don't look at the person as a individual that may have not had those opportunities. And I
Whose
think we
radio is that in
judge.
the background? Please turn that radio off or whatever that is y'all playing.
Okay,
Oh, that's you?
no,
Anetta?
I'm
Girl.
sorry. I think sometimes people judge people based on material things versus the heart of them. And it's a disadvantage because you can really miss an opportunity to really love someone and someone to love you back based on the material aspect of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little different because I have created my own way of living. And so I don't need anyone to come in and step in and be my financial savior or my,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that, the economical savior.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I view it a little different when you look at dating. I don't look at it in the aspect of what do you have? I look at it as if we both sitting at the table, can you enjoy what I'm putting on the table, and can I enjoy what you putting on the table? Okay.
So more companionship than
Companionship
financial
versus companionship versus can you help me rise where I'm rising?
Mm-hmm.
No, I feel like everybody should have their own drive. I feel like everyone should path their own way because it's not beneficial and it's not fruitful unless you did it yourself. Okay.
Especially
And
when you get to a certain age too.
Right. When you got somebody doing it for you, then you haven't really did it. You know what I'm saying? That's like when we was teaching our kids how to ride a bike. They didn't get excited until they seen the training wheels coming off and they was able to ride the bike themselves. That's how life should be for adults. You shouldn't think that somebody else is going to be able to maintain your training wheels on your bike and you're going to get excited about your being able to ride it. No, you got to do the work. You got to put the time in. If you see that you have a vision for something, you see that you have a plan for something, you got to execute the vision and execute the plan. And I get kind of annoyed when I see women be like, well, I want a man, he got to have 6 figures, and you make 30 or 40,000 a year. Why are you looking for him to make that? You don't even know how to live on 6 figure because you live on 30 or 40,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is he bringing to the table? But do you have a table for him to take something to the table? So I look at things a little different. So that's why I was just listening, because I have a different scope and a different mindset. The age I'm in now, I would date somebody who has some stability for himself, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it differently.
Me too.
Can I clarify a point also? And I appreciate your perspective on that. I think that we were saying that I think it's a class issue now. It's not that someone will stop home, because upper middle class women, they'll stop working for the time that they have their children as well. But what's happening, we're seeing that people who are professionals tend to marry other professionals. That's coming, especially the millennials that are getting married, the younger generation X's. They are marrying people that have done similar things. So people from blue collar backgrounds tend to marry people from blue collar backgrounds. So a guy making $100,000 a year in a very competitive area, typically I don't see doctors of medicine dating or marrying. And I'm not knocking like a waitress at what Waffle House or something like that. I don't know if y'all got that in Buffalo or in New York, but it's
No, I
down
know what it
south.
is though.
But or like our Pancake House. I got the original House of Pancakes up there, or IHOP or something like that.
IHOP.
They tend to marry women who at least have a bachelor's degree. They usually like to marry teachers, women who will raise their children to do some of those similar things. So now you might see a rapper who's a millionaire, or maybe a football player who's a millionaire. It matters nothing to him because he has that super surplus. But for an upper middle class professional that has to work to earn that income, the wife's educational level is very, very important. So I wasn't discussing whether people would stop, because they do stop working on that. What I was saying is that a lot of blue collar men and also blue collar or clerical type women that are not on the same level, it's not a match. They're going to have a great deal of difficulty in things like rearing children, your child rearing practices, the importance of education, how you educate, reading, the whole gambit of it. So instead of that mismatch, which comes from the end, I think what the guys are getting, because from the women that I know of, they're not trying to, quote, be mean-spirited. What happens, they kind of know the type of men that meet the type of criteria that they've invested in themselves to get. So if a guy is listening to people on YouTube, and this is small world when we talk about YouTube, and he thinks that the time she spent at Spelman and the time that she spent at Vanderbilt Law means nothing, and she puts in that type of effort, and she's now a corporate attorney, then he may have dropped out. And he's saying that, that really doesn't mean anything. And also, it's going to be very rare for a person, even if he develops the business, to develop a 6 or 7 figure business, for that particular woman to change her lifestyle, to be someone who doesn't have to work. I believe that I see upper middle class women give up their careers for the time that their children in, but they're still keeping their law license. They're still keeping that dental license, that nursing license, or whatever they have. So when the children are more like in middle school or high school, they'll go back to work and they can kind of direct them, or even when the children go out. So I think what I'm seeing is that there's not class compatibility the way that we think that it is. And that's the big issue. And I think that the men who have been on a lot of these channels saying that a woman's education means nothing, that in my view is hurtful to that particular woman who invested all that time to do whatever she's trying to do. And it does really impact the family. Right now, with the price of housing, with the price of education and all that, education really matters. So I think that men who feel that way, I would suggest that they date women that don't have that type of background or those type of credentials, because you'll probably be more comfortable. So if you are dating someone that doesn't work as a director of marketing, she may do something different and she may be comfortable. And most women, even upper middle class women, will stop working when they have children. But I think that I see that, quote, as an attack when you degrade a woman's education on the level, her career, because that is a part of who she is.
Well, I think that's that's inconsiderate to say something like that. Anyway, especially when somebody's worked hard, you should never try to take that away from anyone. So, like you said, if that's not your niche, if that's not what you're looking for, then don't deal with it. But never knock anybody credentials, man or women or whoever it is, if they worked hard for it. So that's just on some more other different stuff when you're doing that.
Yeah. My thing too is when it comes to that, like I said, I was playing both sides. I mean, for the most part, my wife, everything that she accomplished in college and so forth, it's no issue with me. You know, hell, like I said, if she raised the kids, take care of what she needs to do, go back into her career, I don't have a problem with that. See, a lot of men, like you said, is going into class. You know, you want best for your kids. You're raising them a different way. You're teaching them certain things. Even though that man probably graduated, let's say he got a GED, you know, he doesn't feel strongly about school, to an issue. All depends on that compromise between that husband and that wife, because the future is the main concern. If you have a child, it needs to be to their full potential. You put them in that surrounding. The Jews do it all the time. If they want their child to become a doctor, they'll put them in that area. They'll start, letting them go to practice. They'll start dealing with, the doctors in their family, or somebody who's a, RN or something, or even somebody just doing basic, something to put them in that field to get them ready. And in our, generation, like as of right now, these kids are not being, put in that direction to actually succeed in those fields. Because I remember when I was young, my grandmother asked me what I wanted to be, and she kind of, pushed me in that narrative of what she wanted me to be. But her whole thing of it was, if you're going to do it the best you can. Even with the ladies in the family as well. So when it came down to it, when we got married, our whole thing was to be, better for our family. If you had a wife, you talked to your wife, you dealt with things within the family. If you had to go outside the family for help, then so be it. But the point of it was, the family structure was for that man and the woman to work together. And a lot of people don't want to compromise no more. That's where we have our flaws at, And not to knock the lady that was saying earlier when she was talking about having her own money. And, coming into a situation to where, she has her money, he has, and they work together for the greater good. That's our money. My money and my wife's money is the family money. We work together.
But brother, that's only if you husband and wife. If you not my husband, my money is my money.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm just saying it's our money, because when the bills get paid, we can say, well, you pay the light bill, I pay the gas bill. You pay this bill, I pay that bill. But when a bill gets shortened, that woman might have to pick the slack up because that guy can't do it, and vice versa. And that's the compromise when you going into the marriage, to where we're working together jointly. That that keeps the marriage going. When it comes down to it, there's some situations everybody don't have it all. We don't have all the answers. But the point of it is us working together for the greater good. And me and my wife, we talk about this all the time. It's some things, like I say, with finance, there could be some things I might be slacking in. There's plenty of times we done switch to where my wife, when I first got with her, she paid all the bills. It came to a point where I said, I'll take over, I'll pay all the bills. And now it's back to her. Not saying that I'm bad with finances. Sometimes I might spend a little more, and sometimes she might spend a little more. But the thing is, we have a budget. We have the family at play, where things need to be provided for the family, the kids and bills and so forth. It's just to the point of, us making decisions that's based on the family that can, provide us a better life. And there's plenty of times where I made a large substantial amount of money. Then there's times where my wife, I probably one point at my life where I didn't make as much, and right about now, because I want to be home with my kids. So I'm not making a lot right now. And there was no role switch to where my wife, she made the most money, to where she said, well, I wear the pants now. You sit over there and you get the cooking, you clean up this house, or else I make all the money in the house. You need to respect. Nah, this whole thing about gender roles being what it is, You know, like I said, it's for the greater good of the family, because putting, you know, these whole stereotypes and specific roles. I clean the house just as my wife. If I see something that needs to be cleaned, I might say, "Hey, you need to do this," and if she don't do it, I go ahead and do it. You know, and it's to the point where we have a talk or something like that. Therefore, you know, and you know, with me having a job that I'm physically working every day, I'm more tired than her. You know, her job is basically on the computer. She clicks a mouse, and I know that's a mental stress, but I'm like, it ain't far stress than, you know, picking up $200-300 worth of stuff all day, and then coming home, you know, wore out, driving in traffic, and then have to come home and be like, where's dinner? You know, or, you know, why the kids this and that, and then that's when it becomes the issue. So therefore, we work on that, and we set a standard to make things better, not only for my life but for her life as well. You know, because you know that's the main reason for a lot of divorces. People not communicating with each other.
Yeah.
You know, you can work things out to a certain degree. You know, and I say to a certain degree because most of the time when you're cheating or bad with money, I mean, that's mostly the main reasons for cheating. I mean, main reason for divorce. Either spouses are cheating, spouses are mishandling money, and it gets to a point where you say, you know, why is that the biggest benefactor in the marriage? If
Can I ask you a question? I don't mean to cut you off, but how do we get off so far off subject? Because this has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be talking about.
Well, no, Ray came back in. Ray came back in to make a point about what we were
about what
discussing.
About marriage, and that what we're talking about has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be talking about. And I've been sitting here patiently kind of waiting for it to get back on topic, and we getting further and further away from the topic, and I'm just like, I can go do some work. But
I fell asleep. I did. I fell asleep.
I was about to.
Well, y'all can move on. Y'all can move on to
let's
point
move
3.
on. That has nothing to do with what we was talking about.
All right, so here we go. Has the old concept respect and protect your woman turned into simping?
What'd you say again?
I said that old school concept where you would respect, protect your woman, and treat her nicely, and go overboard, and do the little gestures. Has that turned into simping?
I don't even think those men exist anymore.
Which men?
That do that? Go overboard?
I don't. I maybe it's just me. I just don't think those men exist anymore. I don't think those men exist that protect and be there for your woman and da 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 da. I just don't think. I think that the pool. I do. I honestly don't think those men exist.
Wow.
I think the pool for women is so large that men have so many options that is just not a factor. Okay. And I think that some women are becoming comfortable with being alone because they don't want to deal with the jargon of the pool. So I just don't think those men exist. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't think they exist.
I think they do exist. I think you just don't see it as much because most men are reluctant to do certain things towards a woman or to protect a woman because you find women going off on a guy if he steps up and tries to defend her honor or open the door for, or, just certain things. And you'll find some women take offense to that. I don't need you to speak up for me. I don't need you to protect me. I don't need you to do X, Y, Z. And so what you find is that some men will watch and see how a woman carries herself or how she responds to certain situations. And then he'll determine to himself whether he should put himself out there like that. And I think that's more so the case. I think a lot more men would be willing to do certain things, but you have all these boss women and, you know, super women and all these terms that they use now. So you don't know. You don't know how to, you know, how to step in and show chivalry and those kind of things towards a woman without and then what you have is these people that call them a simp for doing it. For showing respect to a woman or trying to defend a woman's honor or, you know, being respectful to a woman. You have these people that call them simps. You know, they simps, they weak, they punks, they this, that, and the other. But the thing is, it's because they don't do that. They weren't raised to do that. They've given up on doing those things because they've run into maybe so many bad situations where they may have at one point tried to do something for a woman and it came back on them, and now they have this resentment towards all women to, you know, oh, he a simp because he's doing that. But at one point, he probably was doing the same thing, but had that bad taste in his mouth now. So now he's against all women. So you find those kind of guys that'll belittle a woman or, you know, anything a woman is doing that outshadows him or can't even have a conversation with a woman or a debate with a woman without having to curse them out or use some derogatory term or something to put them down because he can't hold himself in the debate or hold himself up to her standards or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, there are men out there. There are men out there that, you know, they do it. They just don't do it as much because of maybe they had some bad situations or a bad person that they've come in contact with that made them feel that they were doing something wrong to do that, to try to defend their honor. So you have to watch and see who you want to do it with.
And I'm gonna agree with Willie on that part. Like some guys just not putting themselves out there like that, like because of the way that some women respond. And you know, a guy maybe think he's doing a good gesture, and all of a sudden she got an attitude. You're like, damn, well, I'm doing the right thing right here. I thought this was a good gesture, but you know, it becomes, oh, he's annoying, he do too much and all of that stuff. And then you say, the hell with it, man. Fuck it, I ain't doing shit. Like at that point. So I think that's where we at, whatever. Like people need to stand up. If it's a good gesture and it makes you feel good and you know it's not no ill intent, then you just roll with it. A lot of people, I don't know, it's a lot of resistance being put up. And some guys, I always say, like to travel the path of least resistance. Instead of going through all that.
That was a crazy part. I was on the highway and I used to roadside, and I seen these two ladies changing their tire, and I seen them up, and when I actually seen it was two ladies, I pulled over and I jumped out. I said, "Look, I'm finna change your tire. Just make sure you stay on the opposite side of the, you know." I just told her, I said, "Stay on the opposite side, and I'll change tire. Just make sure no car don't come around and hit me." Because I'm like, the where you position, you gonna get hit. It's a curve right here. And I said, just make sure the car don't hit me. And I'm telling her this. Now, this is the funny part. It was two ladies. She called her friend to come help her. Her friend was more the macho type, and she knew how to change the tire. So when I told her friend that I would change the tire, she was like, go ahead, I ain't gonna stop you. The one that needed the tire change was like, oh, don't worry about it. She got it. And she looked at her and was like, hold on, I'm changing the tire. I said he can do it. Like, she was on the defense of me changing the tire. I'm looking like, what am I going to get out of this? What, I'm going to get your number after I change your tire on the side of the road? I'm like, I'm doing a good act. And that made me to the point where every time I see a woman now with change of tires or two women change the tire, I just keep going. And it's to the point where I'm like, I'm trying to be nice. I can
see what y'all did, women. See what y'all did. Y'all better get AAA.
Flip up the bird and keep rolling.
And I'm looking and I'm like, dang. And the other lady, she was like, I thank you and all this. The lady who car I changed the tire, she said, all right. And she waved her hand. And the other lady, she was just like, oh, thank you, man. Man, I was scared to change the tire. The other lady, she was like, "Oh, thank you," and just just went on. I'm like, dang. I'm like, all I was doing was trying to help because I knew that curve was bad. When I was coming around the corner, I didn't even see them. So when I seen them, I automatically just jumped over to the side, pulled. I was about to get off at the next exit anyway. So I'm like, dang. I'm like, should I do this? I'm like, go ahead. Pulled over. And like I said, I walked up to him. I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? And didn't even call AAA. The first thing she gonna ask me is, what you doing here? And the other lady was like, who are you, AAA? You know? And the other lady who was, like I said, her car, she was like, who are you? And the other, she was glad. She was like, "You AAA." She was like thinking she was gonna get some help or something. And I'm like, man. After that, I was like, I ain't helping no more women on the side of the road no more. I even told my wife. My wife was like, "Why did you do it?" And I was like, it just, I just thought it was the right thing to do. To help these women because, like I said, it was a dangerous curve. And she was like, "Yeah, you could have got hit." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I was trying to help these women out." After that, like I said, nope. I ain't helping no women out no more. I'm like, especially because I'm like, the other lady, she made me say, okay, well, it was worth it. But the lady who car it was, like I said, it was just her energy. Like, why are you doing this? We here. Why are you coming over here? And we don't even know you. Because, like I said, I used to work for AAA. I told her that even like one time, I opened the car door for this lady. Her car door was locked, and I'm at Home Depot getting some stuff, and I got my little kid in the car, so I went over there, boom, popped the door. She was like, "Oh, thank you." I was like, "Don't worry about it." I was like, "I know." She was like, "A AAA they was coming. I would have had to pay this and that because I ain't had AAA, so I'd have had to become a member when they first got there." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I used to work for them." And she was like, "Oh, I think," she was like, "I ain't got no money." She gave me a $5 gift card for Chick-fil-A. I was like, "Man, keep it." I'm like, just keep it. It's a thought that counts, but I say keep it. And she's like, "No, I'll take it. This is the only thing I got." Cool, I took it. But I'm like, man, she was more gracious and like just happy just because then the other lady who had somebody helping her was like, "Well, we don't need you." Right? And it gets to a point where men have to pick and choose. Like, is she friendly? Like friendly fire. You get ready to go in a situation, you get shot, and you coming in as the friendly person.
And
So,
that's why I
some
said
men get into it.
earlier that you sit back and watch. Men will sit back and watch the demeanor and the way the woman carries herself before they determine if they're going to do anything because of that. Just what you just said. Sometimes you just have to sit back and watch and see how a woman responds, and then to other people, or to how she responds to men in general. And that's going to help you determine whether you want to step up to the plate and try to be that chivalrous person, or if you're going to just step back and say, you know what, I'm not messing with this. I'm just going to leave it and let them figure it out for themselves. You have to, because women will get loud. Some people will get loud with you, and try to embarrass you. And that really kills me when you go out of your way to try to help somebody, and then they want to get loud or nasty with you and try to make you feel like you did something wrong when you've only been trying to help, trying to be of service to them.
I'm going to put it in this particular manner, and I hate to do it, but it's the only way that it can be done so it's understood. Women have to decide, do they want to be the hero of their own story, or do they want to be rescued? Men can't decide that for you.
True.
Women have to decide that. And if the majority of situations that men run into, women want to play their own hero, then by default, all the women who do not want to play their own hero are going to have to. There is no other way about it. Society has now put men in a position to where you risk public humiliation, ridicule, or criminal charges for trying to assist, or even death, as Rashid was just talking about, for helping. The days of chivalry are done. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they're done. They stopped about the 1970s.
No, there's still chivalry. There's still chivalry. I'm not going for that nonsense.
No. Chivalry is being piecemealed out to women who have shown they are worthy of receiving it. I'm not saying it's not dead for every woman, but for the vast majority of the rank and file women who think they're going to get it just based on their gender, they can forget it. That's not going to happen anymore.
Well, I see that's the problem. They don't think they're going to get it. It's not thinking they're going to get it. A lot of them are so used to not getting it and feeling like they got to do things themselves. So then when a person does do it, they take offense to the person doing it, as they look at it as the person considering them being weak in some instances.
But that was
just like him stopping to help the people with the car. The woman was upset that owned the car because she called her girlfriend. She didn't call a man to come do it. She called a girlfriend who she thought was on that part because she knew the friend knew how to change the tire, but he considers her more of a able-bodied person than calling AAA or even calling a male to come and do that. She called a female. What think about that? You would call another female to come change your tire. That's something. That shows
Let me tell this quick story, and I can't remember if it was Obsidian that said it or somebody else. I heard it on the podcast. There was a show going on. Comedian had called for 3 women to come up stage. 2 of the women rushed up the stage. April Mason was the third one. Now, April Mason, for those of you who don't know who she is, she's a content creator. Very attractive. I think she's in her early 40s. She got to the stage and she stopped and held out her hand. And immediately, 3 men rushed to her side to escort her up the stairs. Now, it wasn't that she couldn't walk up the stairs by herself. What she was demonstrating is that I'm a woman and I want to be assisted by a man. Those type of women will always, without question, receive chivalry because they're aligning themselves to see it. That's what I meant by the previous statement. You have a lot of women that don't align themselves to receive chivalry, and when they don't, they complain. You can't not do the work and expect the results, and a lot of women just want the results because they're women. Society is saying, we're equal. You are no longer going to get that treatment just because. So now they've created a situation where you have 2 magnets of the same polarity trying to attract each other. And we all know that magnets of the same polarity, they repel each other. This is where they are. They have to make a decision collectively, either sink or swim.
Well, for me, I think you'll get that treatment if it's treatment reciprocated. If you're giving that guy a vibe to say, okay, she feeling this, she likes it, so I can ante up, do more. But once you put up that resistance and you're not coming back and it seems like your energy is negative, you're not gonna do it. If he's sane, he's not gonna unless he's really a simp. He's not gonna do that shit. Like, I'm not about to play those type of games where if I'm being positive and you're being negative in a situation, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. So if somebody's giving you, it's simple mathematics. Greater than, I learned this in counseling 101, greater than, less than, equal. You give me great, I'm gonna give you great. You give me less than, I'm gonna give you less than. Equal, I'm gonna give you equal. But it's not gonna be no imbalance. So that's what people have to figure out. Like, he really treats me nice, then I need to treat him nice as well. It ain't no because such Tyrone did this or whatever the case is. Now I'm guarded and all that stuff. If you put yourself back out in that pool and you want someone to get at you, then you're gonna have to work on your equations to make it work, so it won't be no imbalance.
Well, I got a quick question. What about the fact sometimes I think for brothers like Sheed, it's not about the chivalry. You got a family, like I have a family. It'll be easier and safer sometimes to call AAA for them, make sure they're taken care of, because they're going to put out those cones and those lights. So, because unfortunately, almost every few months, people that do that get hit trying to help somebody, and then their family's all jacked up. So although you do want to be helpful, it would be better and safer because you got people that are depending on you to come home. And you just said that there was like a dangerous curve. Usually when AAA comes out, they're going to put the truck a little bit back behind them. They're going to put those cones and lights out. Then they're going to go ahead and do that safely, because that's why a lot of people don't do it, because people get killed trying to help people like that. It's dangerous. That's why it's sometimes good to let the professionals do it. And, like you said, it's not about chivalry being dead. It's just that you have responsibilities to other people and they depend on you. And if you are harmed or worse, then they are. So that sometimes that's just the easier way, because that's what I would do. Like you could kind of wait to AAA, because you can use your AAA card for anybody.
You're right.
And let them help them safely, and then they be on their way. And then, because that unfortunately happens on that, but that's how they go. That's one suggestion I would say on that, because I would want to see brothers harmed because that's why I think a lot of people they want to be good Samaritans, but the cost sometimes is really heavy,
Yeah.
But to the extent of you trying to be a good Samaritan, that's what I'm saying. Like, that situation goes. Let's just say that they wasn't in a bad area. Let's just say they was at their home or something like that, and one of my neighbors, her tire went flat. Do I really want to just get out of my house, go next door, and change her tire? And it's to the extent like, man, hey, you got cousins or something? Because, hey, I can get me too by just going to her garage. And a lot of guys, they in fear of that now. It's not. It's funny that I'm saying that, but that's what it is. It's your word against theirs. One of my friends, if they didn't record calls at his job, he got just a crazy, like, he was in, I think, Alabama. The lady was in Florida. She would always hit on him, say little stuff to him. And, he would order parts for this electric company he was working for. It was to the degree he would never, he was like, yeah, it's nice up here. Small talk about weather and all that. It came down to it. She's like, yeah, I'm about to come up there and see where you at. He's like, cool. No problem. One trying to hit on her and nothing like that. One trying to be catty. And it was to the point where she called 911 and said that he was stalking her, coming up. Dude had got off for 3 days, pending investigation that he was going to get fired, and he was going to have to go through the court system and figure out what they were going to do with him within. Upon listening to the tapes, figured out this lady just, wanted to be with him. He was brushing her off. And it was that bad to the point where after that, this guy had a cold heart. He didn't want to talk to no women, didn't want to deal with nobody on the principle. Like, man, I could have went to jail off a lie. Look at Chris Brown, for instance. If it wasn't for the recording that this guy kept to Texas and stuff, we would have had another celebrity went down for something like this that wasn't even true. And to the point, he had these tapes. If he didn't, it's hard to prove. Really hard to prove. It's her word against his. He's already been accused for Rihanna, so it already makes him an easy target. He was already going to be an easy target. And it's to the point, like I said, it's like, I don't look at that as this is the way of the world, but to the point of it is, I still have to have that in my head to say this might or could happen to me.
Yeah.
I think when just the phrase where people like, oh, we got a good vibe and all that stuff. Essentially, that's what it's all about. Whatever. When you have a good vibe with somebody that gives you that motivation to maybe do something extra, or say, I'm willing to go the extra mile for her because I got a good vibe. I got a good sense, a good gut feeling. That's what a vibe is, a gut feeling about this person. And when you don't have that, what else can you do? So I think a lot of times that's why some guys are not willing to put out that effort, because playing that hard to get role just to test the man. And I know, Herb know about this. We went back and forth with women before about, giving tests, and women like, I don't play games. I don't do tests. But giving tests might not get you the results that you're looking for. And some guys just don't have the time for it. And like I said, they'll travel the path of least resistance. So you have to be conscious of that to say, okay, I know I'm playing. I want to make it a little challenge for him, but yet if that's the case, you still have to do it with like some type of pleasure or good spirits and not just be nasty. Somebody back there crying and shit.
It sounds like somebody's chair.
Anything else said on this particular one?
I think so.
We're gonna move on to the last one. We're gonna get through all of these. Is your censor triggered from past relationships? If so, don't date. We talk about this all the time, that a lot of people still hurt from the past, can't get through this. Certain individuals that scorn them, but yet and still they want to be out on the market. And then you have these guys that's like, man, I like her. She's pretty. She's intelligent. And I want to try to get at her, but she got some malice in her heart. But she still want to be out in the dating pool, or vice versa. He wants to be out in the dating pool. What's your take on that?
100 questions. You know me.
I was like that. I was like that for a minute. I found myself caught up, and I was always talking about the stalker, and that was my downfall. I was like that for a minute, and it was because I went through so much that I just couldn't understand, and I think who was it came on and said BG? I think it was BGS. That was the first time I think I met BGS, and he was saying, when you keep asking the question why, you'll continue to hold on because there's always going to be another why behind it. And when he said that, that's what hit home for me, and that's what made me realize. And when I stopped asking that question, why it didn't work and why she was doing the things she was doing, I forgot. It just, as you see, I don't even talk. You remember, every week I was almost talking about it on the show.
You're right. You haven't said that about her in a minute.
Yeah, every week. And when he came on and said that, it really hit home with me. It made me realize, because like I said, I was doing it so much I didn't even realize it was just, that's how much it was burning me. That's, what I mean? And you can see it if you think about, like you said, you think about it now, you're like, yeah, every show I was bringing that up. Something had to relate to her, and it was because it was still bothering me. And so I couldn't move into another relationship because I was still feeling so much from that. But then, like I said, when he said that and I stopped asking the question why, it was, that's what helped me to get over it. That's what helped me to be able to move on. And like I said, I still took a break. And like I was saying on the show, I wasn't trying to date anybody till summertime got here, which it was my way of saying I'm taking a break from, and still just trying to get to know and make sure that I was clear of that, all the things that was pent up on me regarding that relationship. But I thank him, because that's him saying that made me realize that that's exactly what I was doing. Because I kept saying why. And when he said that, I was like, man, you know what? I do say that. And then I come on the show and I talk about it. I always had a story.
Willie's moment.
Exactly. Every week. And I would laugh because I would go back and look at some of the shows, and just about every show, that was one of my stories. It had one of the things that went on with her. And I was like, wow. And so I can see that, you have to find yourself and make sure that you're over whoever that person is or whatever that person has done to you, because when you move into that next relationship, you're either going to be looking for signs of that person doing something that person did to you, or you're going to have some kind of resentment because of what that person did to you, and you end up taking it out on that person. Or, there's so many different things that can happen when you don't make sure yourself is together and just ready to move on into a relationship with whatever is in the past, being in the past, and being able to move on from it.
Hey, Willard, every time I'm on a panel and a guy says feelings, I always got to do this.
What?
It's a song.
It's a Maxwell, man.
Yeah, a woman's worth.
I
Yeah.
know what song it is, but whatever.
I do that. I do that to trigger guys and mess with them. I tell them, I say, man, no, get out your feelings. But it's a joke that I always do to get guys, and I always tell them, I say, man, men deal in facts, women deal in feelings. But to the point, you really right, man. It comes to a point where you really have to set aside the feelings about that situation with that person and have an understanding for yourself to say, man, I gotta push that to the side, or I gotta, let that go. And a lot of men, especially women too, because women, they more feel prone than anything to the point where they don't want to let those feelings go. They'll go into a new relationship still hurt. If that guy probably just broke up with him that day, and a guy will go around moping to an extent. A woman, she will mope, but she would always, hey, he cute enough to get me over that hump. Guys, they would say, yeah, man, she bad, but it takes work. As a man, it takes some work to actually approach a woman, because nowadays, like I say, women have their defenses up all ready to go. Soon as the man come around the corner, nope. I just said, hey, oh, I'm sorry, nope. And it gets to a point where you have to put in work, but working on yourself is key, and a lot of people fail to do that, man. I went probably 2, maybe 3 years of not dealing with somebody, and I think it was probably 2 or 3 relationships later, I ended up getting my wife. And it was just a point that I'm like, man, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna have my fun. If I talk to a woman, I do. If not, oh well. I'm trying to get on my money. My son is going through that same situation right now. My oldest, his thing is, he's like, man, I'm working, I'm doing good for myself. He's like, if I catch somebody, cool. If I don't, I'm still good. And I told him, I said, I had that same mentality, man. I was so focused on, me getting to a certain point in my life, trying to figure out things, because I was talking to an older guy. I was telling him, I said, man, I just don't think life is where I wanted to be. So I told him I was going to go to the military. And he was like, if you ain't went to the military right now, it's like you giving up. He said, you don't want to fight? And I'm like, what you mean? And he was like, it's like you giving up. When you got out of high school, you should have went to the military then, or figured out some things to go to. He said, why you want to go to the military 2-3 years out of high school? He said, you already got structure for yourself. He said, you're not lacking discipline, you lacking motivation. He's like, you think the military is going to give you motivation? And it kind of inspired me to say, okay, he's right. So what are the situations I need to work on to be a better person? And a lot of people don't even go through that self-awareness check. Like I said earlier, knowledge of self. A lot of people don't know themselves. So if you don't know yourself, how you going to be in a relationship with somebody else? How you going to mimic, what that woman wants for herself, and you trying to be a provider of her, but you don't provide for you. What's his name? Gold Professor. He talks about this 9 laws of self-government. And law number 3 is applied selfishness. Applied selfishness can be turned on or off to benefit. When you need to have some things that need to be done for you, you turn it on. But when some things need to be done for somebody else and overall, you turn it off. It's like it's an on and off switch. People so stuck on one mode. They tend to, be a giver to others and not be a giver to themselves. So that creates a whole nother issue.
Well, I want to give a shout out to BGS far as Willie coming on, dropping knowledge and giving insight, which he always does. So that's, definitely appreciated. But like I said, it's a lot to it, and one of the things is being ready yourself to to understand and deal with certain situations. And oftentimes none of us is ever going to be 100% healed. We always going to have some deficits. We going to have some triggers and things like that. But I think one of the key things is how you occupy your mind in doing things and being busy and stuff like that. So you don't even have the time. And then you'll realize, like, damn, a whole year went by because I was so busy
Right.
that I totally forgot some of the things that I used to do. But what had set a lot of people back too was the pandemic, whatever, because we was kind of on lockdown. So you couldn't move like you wanted to move. And if you had, a job that you had to work from home and all this, it wasn't the same. So, we're, coming back to that, facing some of those. A lot of people are still struggling with that stuff. Adults and kids. I know kids are in school. So, you just, I don't know. It's not like nobody the genius on this how to reintegrate, because we really, as far as us living, we really never had issues like this before. So, hey man, I always say one day at a time, and one thing I always say is stay busy, keep doing something, man. Keep your mind occupied. We know what an idle mind does.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you do really have to do is keep busy, because if you, like you said, if you're sitting around idle, that's when you really will sit and think about that person, that situation, and things you've gone through or whatever, and that's what you'll find yourself constantly thinking about, because you're not doing something to take your mind off of it and keep yourself busy, keep yourself productive. So you really have to. You can't sit around and wallow. Like people say, my grandmother say, you can't sit around and wallow in it.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, all this stuff be connected to whatever. Even with like rehab and all that stuff, like people are hurting, but they keep going back to the same environment. They keep going back to the same situation. They're going back to the place where they met this person at. Because they met them at a club. They still go back there where they hang out, whatever. And then it just songs come on and different things, and you see, you got to cleanse yourself and do something different. You got to be willing to do something different. Whether that's, I'm finally about to go back to school, or I'm about to, I went on Groupon and found these courses for cheap that I'm going to take these cooking classes. Anything, just different stuff, whatever, that you got to be willing to take. But most people, they still have their same circle of influence, and they still have those certain environments they go to, and then they always stay triggered. They always triggered.
And wonder why they can't move on.
Annetta, you woke?
I am woke. I hear y'all talking about triggers in relationships, and I
Talk
think
to us.
That's right.
I think a lot of it contributes to the fact of accountability, and sometimes those triggers are there because people have not gotten to the place of being accountable. I think when a demise of a relationship or dissolving of the relationship is normally typically not one person. I think it's two people. It takes two people to get into a relationship, and it takes two people for a relationship to go its opposite way. Mm-hmm. So those triggers are normally generated because there's never accountability. People don't want to take accountability for what they have done in the relationship or what they have put the other person through. And when you don't take accountability and ownership of something, you're always on guard thinking that someone else is going to do the same thing. So I would call those triggers unresolved issues. You know? And you have some men that are willing to go through that storm with a person, and you have some women who are willing to go through that storm. And then you have some people who have no tolerance for it because life is too short. People feel like, I got more time behind me than ahead of me. Do I want to deal with the triggers? Do I want to go through the whole rebuild the process with somebody? And most of the time, people don't.
Yeah.
That is why I always say it. I posted that when you get a certain age, and people don't like to hear this, I said more than likely you might end up with somebody that you probably already dealt with.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear that. Yeah, people don't want to
You
hear
do,
that.
and you get comfortable with your past because, that's how I feel now. Like, I was very open to the whole dating thing. I'm like, oh, I'm open to dating until the bozos I've been dealing with. I'm like, nah, I might as well go back to what I'm familiar with because at least I know what to expect from him versus trying to learn somebody new and not, know what the heck I'm dealing with. And then again, I don't believe in bad relationships. I feel like, you should always leave the opportunity of, re-engaging again. But yeah, this circus of dating is a bunch of clowns.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
So just like Barry Manilow.
Right. Yeah. It's a whole bunch of clowns out here. It's a whole bunch of I'm keeping it real, I'm being honest, I'm being truthful, and you doing the same thing with 5, 6, 10 other people. Damn. But the reality is your real is not somebody else's real. Yeah. And people are not being genuine and honest. And the thing about the heart matters. When you're dealing with somebody's heart, you don't really know what you're dealing with because you're dealing with all of their past, not just relationships. You're dealing with their family relationships. You're dealing with their work relationships. You're dealing with a lot. So when you're dealing with somebody, you have to look at all those factors. And when you're not looking at all those factors and you're being very tunnel vision just for you, it makes it very difficult for somebody to put their guards down and trust the you because you're not willing to understand the whole person.
What you said reminds me of the movie, and I believe I've mentioned this before, Up in the Air, where the character, I can't remember the character's name, played by George Clooney. What he always talked about was his backpack. And the backpack was symbolic of all the things that an individual had in their life that they carried around with them. And he would ask periodically at these shows that he was invited to speak to as a paid speaker, he would ask, "What's in your backpack?" So I think that's a very good analogy. I think a lot of people, whoever it applies to, need to start unpacking that backpack because the lighter you travel in life, the more carefree, the more natural, the more authentic your interactions with people, regardless if this business, personal, or family, will be. Like me personally, I have absolutely no problem dating, meeting people. I enjoy the entire aspect of it. Sometimes I look forward to it. Like if I'm going to a baseball game in Toronto, first thing I'm asking myself is, who am I going to engage with in conversations today? What we going to talk about? Because I'm looking for somebody to have a conversation with. Doesn't matter what the conversation is, because it's an opportunity to meet somebody. It's an opportunity.
I don't, Herb. I'm being honest now. I thought I was excited about the whole dating stuff and was like, oh, I get to meet new guys. I'm over it. I'm not excited. I don't enjoy it. And when I say I've lost interest in the whole, I think I can replace the dating with traveling.
I was just going to mention that. Mm-hmm. You said you like to travel, whether it's domestic or overseas. What do you do in terms of conversation with people, even if you don't speak? I'm
very open. I mean, I'm very friendly. I'll have conversations, but when I see that men are taking it to the whole another, like, oh, can we all have a drink or something? No, I'm not interested because I'm not in a headspace where I'm going to be open-minded to his possible advances. So I just shut it down immediately.
Now, are these individuals American or European?
Both. I'm definitely not into foreign. I'm definitely not into non-Americans. They turn me totally off.
I have to take you at your word. I don't know anything about foreign men in terms of
I'm definitely not. I'm not. I'm honestly, I was at one point very open to dating Caucasian men. Very open, Italian, Caucasian, very open to that because I just felt like.
Let me ask a question for clarification. Are you speaking Americanized or European versions? Because there is a difference.
Either or.
Okay.
Either or. And that's I don't want no brothers to get on here and be like, oh, she don't want to date black men now. Da, 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 da.
I will tell you what, don't address that bullshit. If you gotta address that bullshit,
I was open-minded to it because I feel like
he ain't on your level. Let him. This is what I say when I hear stuff.
Don't say a bad word.
Far side. No, it's just far side. So when I hashtag something far side, it's passing me by. I ain't got time for it.
Yeah. But I'm just, I don't want to sound like somebody told me I'm starting to sound bitter. And I was like, I don't think I'm bitter. I think I have embraced the reality of dating.
Jaded's a better word. Jaded is a better word.
Yeah, I think I'm just over the whole shenanigans. And I'm a very giving and very open-minded person. So, but I'm not gullible. And I think that I'm with men,
volunteer.
I
keep saying this, and I'll reiterate it. Volunteer.
I ain't volunteering for shit. Dude. I'm gonna tell you that. I didn't put in my work. I ain't volunteering for shit.
No, I'm talking about in terms of the thing about volunteering is this. We always hear that people are giving. But where do you find people that are truly giving? They're usually volunteering. You don't have to.
What do you mean they volunteering?
They're volunteering their time. Sometimes they're volunteering their money. Sometimes they're volunteering both. You go down, case in point, if you go down to, let's take
I ain't volunteering to no man.
No, see, and that's precisely what I'm talking about. Let me.
I don't gave up my time, and I feel like this. I don't gave up my time. You know who I am. This is who I am. I'm not changing. I'm not altering. And if you can't see who I am, you can't see the purpose in me. Then deuces. Run like Forrest Gump, because I ain't volunteering.
Wow.
Hold on.
Tell him, Netta.
The Innocence Project. All those attorneys, the paralegals, they're donating their time. They're not getting paid 1 penny.
That's their fault.
No, they choose to. And this is what I talk about when I talk about the volunteer spirit. That's what I'm talking about. Nobody has to come into Innocence Project location and ask why is anyone there, because it's a common cause for a noble and very, very humane ending.
But Herb, you got it. You know what? If I could share anything with women and men on here, particularly women, because I'm a woman, don't be giving no man something that he cannot give it back to you in return.
I missed something.
Okay. Because I feel like sometimes what you saying when you say volunteering, you like, oh, you got to do this. No. If I'm sending him, thinking of you cards and this and this and that, and this ninja can't send me thinking of you card back, or I'm thinking of you, or
I never said you. I never said you had to do anything.
I know. I think Herb really means. I think Herb really means volunteering in an actual spot, like doing certain services, like community services, volunteering during events, meeting people like that. That's what I think he means.
Yes, I think you muted yourself, Anetta.
That's what you mean?
Yes.
So you saying meet people at doing this volunteer stuff and stuff like that?
Yes.
Oh no, nah, I'm over
be
meeting
civil,
people.
be civic minded and do your community service.
Nah,
Anetta.
I'm
nah.
not saying you have to. I'm just simply saying.
I'm with you, Anetta.
I'm over it. And first I fought Willie like, no, you got to meet new people. I'm over it.
I'm always
You never heard me say I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't want to meet another new guy. I don't want nobody to take me out on another date. I could take myself to dinner, and I could take myself out of town, and I could do. I'm over it. I'm good.
That's right.
I'm good.
I'm always looking forward to meeting people, and maybe that has a lot to do with the fact that I came up the way I did. You know, I was kind of forced into having to always meet people due to being put in different foster homes. So for me, meeting new people is a way of life. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't.
I don't have a problem meeting new people. I'm an empath, so I feel people emotions. I meet new people. I'm in that place where I'm always meeting new people. That's my position. That's my job. That's, you know what I'm saying? And on top of me being an author and singing professionally, all that is, you know what I'm saying? That's a part of my life, meeting. I'm always meeting new people. I'm just not open to engaging. Okay, that's the difference.
No, and that's what I mean. When I say meet, I'm talking about engaging somebody in actual.
I said that season. Yeah, that season is over. I went to winter, spring, summer, and fall. It's done.
Something about them, even if it's established a rapport where, let's say, because the last time I went to a Blue Jays game before the pandemic, I actually met somebody who was a corporate sponsor, which intrigued me because I didn't know you could actually be a corporate sponsor without tons of money. Now, I never really thought to ask him for a business card or anything because I was just sitting there enjoying the conversation. And after I left the stadium, I was like, damn, I actually missed an opportunity to potentially make a business connection.
Do it.
So those are the type of things that I'm talking about with regards to meeting people. It doesn't always have to be a romantic interlude that brings you together. It could be a business connection.
Okay, so let me share something with y'all that my girlfriend sent me. And it's kind of lengthy, but it's going to be beneficial. It made me think. It says, we fall in love with 3 people in our lifetime. Each one of these are specific reasons. Okay, whatever, Willie gonna say, First, love. The love often happens at a young age, and you eventually grow apart or call it quits over silly things. When you get older, you may look back and think it wasn't love. But the truth is, it was. It was a love that you knew it to be. Remember, there's different depths of love. The second love is the hard one. You get hurt in this one. This love teaches us lessons and make us stronger. This love includes great pain, lies, betrayal, abuse, drama, and damage. But this is the one where we grow and we release, and we also have the ability to love again and don't think about love as in a harsh way. Now we know the difference between good and bad humans, and now we become close and careful and cautious and considerate of another person's heart. The third one is, this one comes blindly. No warning. It creeps up on you silently. You don't go looking for it. It just happens. You can put up any wall you want and it will break down. You'll find yourself caring about the person without trying. You look for nothing, an unusual crush or types or anything like that. Basically, it's beauty in its imperfection, and you hide nothing from them, and you want marriage and family, but you don't put any pressure to it. And she was like, which one are you? And I told her, I said, I'm probably 3. I'm probably unaware of who I'm in love with.
That's possible. That's possible.
But I told her, I do agree. And this is just my mindset. I feel like you actually have only one true love in life. Do y'all agree?
I agree with that.
I don't see any holes in it.
I think there's more than one person that you probably be so much in love with. It just to the point where, that relationship didn't build or blossom all the way. But then when you find that true person, that might have been your second or third choice love, because that one true love that you probably dealt with, y'all couldn't work together because, like you said, for that first love, you probably broke up over foolish or crazy reasons. But it's to the extent you really didn't know what love is, and that's what some people problem is. They never know what love is until it's too late, or they never got that path to, find out what true love is because they were so focused on the path at hand of trying to be perfection or try to fit a certain standard. And I always talk about society standards. They put us in a mind frame where we got to be like everybody else. How many of us run around try to be like celebrities or push this narrative that everybody else is doing versus doing our own thing? Because when you're in love, that's something you customize for yourself. I can't have like when I got married, people tell me, how'd you find your wife? How this and that work? I'm like, I can tell you 100, but the point of it is, you can't find a woman like mine. Just like a lot of women, I tell them, you can't find a man like me. They first thing they ask, you got family members or friends? I'm like, look, I'm one of a kind.
Yeah.
The mold was broken when I was made. I mean, honestly speaking, my brothers, they're good guys, but they have their flaws, and if you're willing to accept
And
those
you got
flaws,
yours.
that's you. Yeah, but it wasn't easy. It was several dates and being by myself and,
Woman,
like they say,
baby,
lonely
why
night.
you always laughing at me?
Because you be funny. You be telling
It's
some
not a
good
bad
jokes.
Yeah, it's
You tell
not a
some
bad
good
laugh.
jokes, girl.
Well, I want to jump in before Rashid, before you go on. And I think that first love, it's about you and that person. You don't have the different obstacles,
Right.
especially if it happens when you're young. It's just young. You may be in, you may be in high school, maybe early in your college, you're like a freshman or something like that, where, and not in all cases, but it may not be no children involved or anything like that. So everything is about you two. So that that first, it's kind of it's deep. It's deep because when it doesn't work out, you don't have the different parameters like jobs and kids and other individuals. If you're not the father or the mother of the children, you don't have all that. So if it's something that young love, like I always say, like if people can make those connections happen, it could be a beautiful thing without all the other stuff that you have to go through. But we know that could be a fairy tale in there. Maybe I just believe in Disney stories or something.
Hey.
But you know what? Your first love truly is normally the first person. That's why you're young when it happens, and you are young when it happens because you have nothing to compare it to, and it's often that first person because you don't know what love is, and so you have this feeling and this infatuation for a person, and it just from there, that's when you start to develop your likes and dislikes into your next relationships based on how that first love situation turned out. You'll find that you're either looking for someone similar to that or you're trying to avoid anybody to even remind you of that person, and then you end up with bits and pieces because there may have been some things that you liked about the person, so you may look for even some of those signs. So you start to kind of create the desired type woman you're looking for, and I think it's all based on that first love.
Yeah, that the crazy part. One of my first love, I actually got back with her some years later, and I was the one that initiated the breakup because she was kind of on the fence, letting people justify her mindset of who she needed or wanted to be with. And then when we got back together, she was this better person, recreated into something that I assumed that, I was going to be with. And it got to a point where I started seeing little stuff that I wasn't trying to pay attention to. And, it was ultimately a decision when I was talking to her on the phone and, one of her family members asked her, what does she really want? And got to, get jumping down her throat with me on the phone. I just put the phone on silent and she kept saying hello, didn't hear me. I guess she thought I hung up. I don't even know why she didn't hang up. But that just gave me a notion to say, man, I don't need to be with this girl. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't need this situation should have never got to this level. And it was to the point where I was so comfortable with her. I was to the point where I wasn't really seeing everything else. It's like comfort, comfort foods, in a comfortable environment. And, you're used to that. That's why I think me and her got back together, because I was so used to her and her ways. But to a point where I was just like, man, I'm not growing. I'm not going to build with her, because I'm putting everything I'm putting her on a pedestal because of who she used to be versus who she is right now. And so once I let go of that and start really looking at the person for who they really was, that's when I was able to move through relationships easily without, trying to, get hurt or, put myself in a position from the jump to where I say, man, I know this not going to work. Why am I even pushing this thing to maybe she'll change, or maybe this woman might be better? And, I always tell guys, it's a choice in the matter. Nobody's put in arranged marriages to a certain extent. It's up to you. If the woman's not of your caliber, hey, leave. Same thing for a man. The woman, I always say, these men are this and these men are that. You don't have to date them. Stay to yourself. If your Prince Charming never comes along, you got to be to a point where you're comfortable with, being alone. Even Kevin had that whole thing of dying alone. I told my wife, if I never met you, I was comfortable with dying alone, because it was to the extent to where.
Well, the thing about that is,
hey,
Ray.
I wasn't gonna settle, man. I wasn't
Ray,
gonna settle.
Ray, I'm gonna say this: you're gonna die alone anyway. You came in this world alone. You're gonna die alone. So when people be like, "Oh, I want to be by myself. I don't want to die alone." Newsflash: you're gonna die alone.
Exactly.
So, I mean, everyone has their appointed time, and I think you just got to get comfortable with yourself and be confident within yourself, and then know your tolerance level. If you're not going to deal with something, then put that out there. I'm not going to deal with it. And as I always said, and I said when I first got on this panel, know who engage and know who you're dealing with and who you're talking to. You have the power to say, I don't want this. You have the power to say, I'm walking away. You have the power to say, do I want to deal with this, or do I? And put people in categories. She might just be a booty call. He might just be somebody that's filling an emotional gap for you. This person might be somebody that you just like hanging out with because they got good vibes, but it doesn't mean that vibes mean that you need to be in a vibe relationship. It just may be somebody that just need to be a friend. And that's, y'all laugh when I say that, but I friend zone people quickly because I don't have a category to put them in. So I'm a friend zone you.
I don't do friend zones. So,
what category y'all in?
You're in the category is the guy that's on the Monday show. That's your category.
I'm just a Monday night hangout.
You just a Monday night podcast.
Oh Lord, geez.
You might just be the YouTube guy. You might be the YouTube guy.
Right.
Oh
I don't really have no category for any man to be close to my heart at this time. I just have male friends that I know that are acquaintances and that I may occasionally see out at an event or something like that. I don't have a lock-in because I don't feel like I have the potential to give anybody that lock-in time.
Do you have the foodie guy? The one that he's going to take you to a good restaurant?
No, because I do that for myself. I'm very self-sufficient. I don't have that.
I know that's right, girl.
Listen, we gonna get ready to.
And I know
close
men
it out.
hate to hear that, and women say, "Oh, well, I'm very, I mean, if it happens, and I have a guy that wants to take me to a restaurant or whatever, but I'm also a person that would do the same. I would take him to a nice restaurant. I don't believe in being a taker and not having the ability to get.
Somebody just dropped a major line right here. Breaking news. Willie is always laughing at you because he's your secret
I'm
admirer.
surprised nobody else saw it.
The
I was
guy you
cracking up
are in
when I
love
saw it.
with.
I left it alone.
On the panel, and you don't even know it.
Wait a minute. What'd you say? Wait a minute. Let me read this. He said, "What? Willie is always laughing at you because he's your secret admirer.
Highlighted
The guy you are in love with didn't know it yet."
What? I'm not even on the screen. I can't even. I'm working on my paperwork.
Yeah.
What?
Willie is not my secret admirer.
Get him straight, Annetta. Tell him.
Willie is not my secret admirer. Willie wouldn't even talk to me when I was a 358 girl. Okay, when I weighed 358 pounds, Willie wouldn't give me the time or day. Okay, and now that I'm like 160 pounds less, Willie still. Now the role reversed. I wouldn't give Willie the time or day. Okay, and Willie and I didn't even like each other initially. Okay,
I still say hi to you though.
Hey,
I
you
said
know,
hi
like
to you back then.
so now we just
right now.
no. He know what he did. He was like, "You pretty for He couldn't even say it. I want to say what for fat. You pretty for being a fat girl.
No, I never used that word. I never used that word.
You never said it. I said it for you because you couldn't say it.
See, you said that.
you putting words in his
I would
mouth.
never use that term towards somebody. That's a hurtful term.
No, he didn't say that. He just said you pretty. You a pretty woman for you a pretty
girl.
This is how he said it.
It sounds like now is the time for y'all to connect. Hot girl.
No, it's not.
Hey,
you tell me that.
She got that Kool-Aid smile over there. I see you.
No, honey, I smile for everybody. My smile is very deceptive. I smile when I'm mad. I smile when I'm happy. I smile when I'm sad. It's deceptive. Don't go by my smile.
Said Willie is a Monday love. Your Monday love.
No. And that's my friend.
What did the lady say on Harlem Night? She said, "I got a girl that'll throw it in the air and make the sun come out. Just make it fat."
That must be
I got jokes.
That must be a country fan.
Yeah, I got jokes.
But see, Willie, y'all had to warm up to each other. You know, that's the thing. If you don't know each other, you gotta warm up. See, it's like the fire. The fire always starts low.
I think that's created.
Ray, I want you to keep your conversation on you and your wife, not me.
Okay. Hey, dearly noted.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Listen, we're gonna get ready to get us some closing points. I'm super proud we got through all 4 talking points tonight. So we're going to get some closing comments and we're going to get out of here and build toward next week's topic. Anybody want to go first? Related to tonight's discussion.
I think that as men and women, I think we need to be honest about where we at and be cautious because you might think you're dating ready, and you're probably not. Okay. I thought I was date ready to date, and I'm not. I still have a lot of hidden, unspoken, and relatable triggers. So you got to be honest with yourself. You got to say, hey, am I ready to date? And my thing is just be honest with you. And if you're honest with you, then you can be honest with the other person. Don't take no bull crap from nobody.
I know that's right.
If he can't give you what you're giving him, you need to run. And don't think that you're giving him another opportunity or redoing the application. No, if he has to get white out and needs scratch out things on the application, he's not a valid applicant, period.
I know that's right.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. This is my closing statement. People who use whiteout or erase or something like that, they still trying to figure out life just like the next person. So, it could be that you find somebody later on down the line, or maybe talking to them on the panel. But the thing of it is,
Right, you petty.
I'm
Petty.
Extremely.
All right, I'm just gonna say, hey, I am petty. That's
Yeah,
a
you
little.
being real petty.
That's a little petty. I'm really more petty than that. But basically, to the point where nobody knows where they're gonna meet people. I mean, I met my wife through a family member, and years passed, 4 kids, and we still together. Despite and everything that happens throughout life. Life comes at people with twists and turns all the time. We have to appreciate. I always say this: if you don't learn about life, life will teach you. So it's best to go through life talking and dealing with
How
people.
many years have you been married?
15 years.
Okay, well, let me explain something to you. I did 27 years of marriage. Okay. And marriage will have its ups and downs. I'm all for marriage. I promote marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep in mind that the woman you met 15 years ago is not the woman you with today.
I know that.
Okay. And the man
Oh,
she
I
met
know
15,
that.
and I'm not just talking about a physical appearance. I'm talking about inner appearance. Okay. So just know to keep your marriage focused and to keep it where it is and to stay married. Just know that she's evolving and you're evolving. And so you got to be able to accept her change and her growth in new areas, in old areas, and she accept yours. But also keep in mind, the one thing I can't stand that married people do is always want to shed the light on their marriage as if us single people want the same thing. Some people just don't want to be married.
Amen.
Okay. And some people are content with not being married. But I promote healthy, happy marriages all day. You're in a happy marriage. I'm promoting it. I'm all for it. Been there, done that. My 27 years wasn't all bad. But I can say this. Everyone's not meant to be married.
I just promote happy relationship. Whether you're married or not, it's just the point. Even with yourself, you're in a relationship with yourself, being happy. Focus on you. That's my biggest thing. If you can, that's why I said earlier about that 9 laws of self-government, applying selfishness. If I apply for myself to be happy and be whole, I can work on everybody else and make them happy or get them somewhat suitable, because you can't make nobody else happy. They got to be happy on their own. I only come to the position to provide a certain length of happiness. Other than that, that's on you.
Amen.
All right. Next, closing comment.
All right, where am I? I got to come back on screen. Hold on, wait a minute. Where am I? I'm sitting here working. Hello, everybody. I think this was a interesting show tonight. Interesting conversation. I agree with what everybody said. Even Annetta, I even agree with Annetta said that me and her just friends. Anyway,
you got what
anywho.
Would you say we just friends?
I think it's true that that first love, that really, like I said earlier, I think first loves are the ones that help you, that actually create your position as to what you start to look for in future relationships. And if you think back to probably that first love, you'll see a lot of that in a lot of the women, or either you'll see something like that in them, or you'll see something totally different from them because it was something about that person that you tried to avoid finding in anybody else. So I think that was a good conversation tonight. And in closing, as usual, headshots can be deceiving. Be careful out there. And I saw a lot of headshots this past week over the holiday, and man, oh man, that are you ready for the summer conversation? They weren't ready. They weren't ready. So just be careful out there, folks.
All right. I think we owe to. I think this is a talking point. That first love. That we might have to go. Might have to go a little deeper into that.
I know.
Who else? Herb? Or did you already go?
No, I was gonna sing a song, but you know my voice is kind of jagged, so it's gonna really sound worse than what it normally does. So, you know, I would just say I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion tonight. You know, gonna be bringing something new, hopefully in the next month or so, some things. And as always, go with an understanding of the curves and the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right. And for me, to close it out with this standard talk, I think sometimes you have to be willing to be vulnerable and be able to express your weaknesses. So when you think about all that past work talk and this person's doing that and you never did it, are you comfortable with saying, no, I never traveled. I thought about it. I never did. I never followed up. I would love to. Are you able, you know, I want to do it. Is that good enough for that person to say, you know what? I got you. We gonna go here. We're gonna start off with something small and we're gonna work together and I'm gonna show you how it's done. So you got to be vulnerable at certain things that you haven't accomplished. Everybody can't be macho with your chest poked out like you did it all, because sooner or later you will get exposed. Like, this ninja said he did this or did that, but he never did it. So that's why sometimes it's just best to say, no, I never did it. But I thought about it, but I just never, based on my job, my children, or whatever the case is, I never got to that point. And I think if you come at with that approach, I think people will open up and say, you know what, they'll feel a greater reward in saying, like, he never did it. I was a part of that first experience. So, and it's you know, it's bigger than just a travel thing. It could be anything. It could be anything. So understand that sometimes you got to be vulnerable and willing to show your weaknesses from the start, instead of trying to always be hardcore and like, oh, I ain't saying nothing, I ain't telling this and that. You just got to talk and be open. And I think that opens up a lot of gateways for success. But that's it. That's what I have.
Come
Great
on, Dave.
show.
I'm really proud of you. That's the most I've heard you talk in these few months you had me on.
Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You joking?
That is true. That's true.
What?
That's the most you talked in.
Herb, are you serious? Herb, are you
Dave,
serious?
I feel like you dropped some nuggets. I feel like I just got counseled.
He been saving it for a good night.
Gotta bring back the segment. You need counseling.
Exactly. Herb, no. They a lot of times I just sit back and just like I'm a counter puncher.
Exactly. Tonight you throwing out some real nuggets.
I throw out nuggets every week when I get a chance. If I try to come up in between somebody, whatever, like, I need to stop for real.
It's the point. Do they want to really take the nuggets that you provided?
Exactly.
I had to look up and see if that was you talking.
Wow. Okay. I'm about to get raw on y'all asses. We'll close out on that.
I had to look up and make sure that I'm like, who that talking? That Dave?
Please stop. Please stop.
It's facts. I was like, okay, let me time this.
Thank you.
Now, this how I know y'all be paying attention. Usually my closing comments, I be going on for a minute because I'm like,
yeah, right.
I ain't never come with that. I ain't never come with nothing. Headshots
miss
are
that show.
deceiving.
I must have missed that show. You did all that.
Right, okay. All right.
We so used to Willie headshots is deceiving. That's
Yeah.
just like
I'll take
loose, that's a loose quote now.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite quote though, because it fits every week. Every week it fits. I'm gonna start posting. I got a new laptop, so I'm actually I can put like the background. So I'm gonna put a bunch of headshots on the back when I make that statement from now on.
Hey, go ahead. But go ahead, check your shows and like, okay, he do go a little he do go a little longer on his closing comments, but that's beside the point. I ain't gonna let y'all steal my joy for the night. I know what I do, and y'all know what it is too. So I appreciate y'all for joining a great conversation.
Great show.
You know how we do it. It will be back. Send inbox me any talking points for next week, and we can build on it and just keep having these conversations. And
I got 6 more questions to add to the pamphlet for 100 questions out the show.
Oh,
hey, Lord. Drop them because you dropped that jewel that one time, and they still sick behind that one. But everybody,
all right, everybody,
have a great week. Stay safe, stay productive, and we'll get up Monday night.
Do some work. I'm gonna be up for the next 4 hours working, so I'm good. You guys have a great night. Have a blessed night. See you next week.
All right, appreciate you all. Peace.
Bye, Nana. Bye, Nana.
Yeah, it's on and popping.
Bye, Nana.